The following is a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club.
Hello chess fans, and welcome to the brand new St. Louis Chess Club in the capital of chess in America. We are starting the new chapter with a truly historical match between Garry Kasparov and Viswanathan Anand. The clutch chess, the legends. And it's not just a match, it's actually a celebration of history, rivalry, and beauty of chess here in St. Louis. So let's go to the studio to start the action together with Maurice, Yasser, and Dash.
Two of the best the game of chess has ever seen, Viswanathan and Garry Kasparov, have come to St. Louis to face off in the first ever battle of the legends, as we present 3 days of exciting Fischer Random chess from the newly renovated St. Louis Chess Club. Clutch Chess, the legends, starts right now. Hello everyone, I'm James Dash, and I could not be happier to be joined by none other than Grandmaster Yasser Seirawan in the studio. It is an honor and a privilege to be sharing this desk with you today.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. A big St. Louis welcome to you. And wonderful
I'm
to have you joining.
In the middle of chess history right now. I can't believe it.
It is great. It is fun, isn't it? You know, you get a front row seat. Hello everyone. Welcome to the legends. My goodness, when you think about legends, you cannot have two more storied players than Garry Kasparov and Viswanathan Anand. And when those two gentlemen get ready to sit down and play chess, my goodness, the world of chess comes to a standstill and watches.
Now I have been swirled into the world of chess this year, and now I understand, even from my cursory understanding of the chess world, kind of the mythic status of these two. Yes. But perhaps you can take a moment to really lay it out for us. What it is that these two players are great. We'll come back and talk about that in just a minute. It isn't just us who are the members of our commentary team. We have a third. It's Grandmaster Maurice Ashley, who's standing by with a couple of superstars. Let's go to him now.
Thanks, guys, and welcome to the grand reopening of the newly renovated St. Louis Chess Club. This is a big moment. It has been years in the making, and the club is in a wonderful place. We're going to have a ribbon-cutting ceremony now with the great sponsors of the club, Dr. Jeannie and Rex Field. Take it away. And there you have it. Absolutely special moment. And to commemorate this moment, we also have a bit of a match between one Garry Kasparov and Viswanathan Anand. I'm going to talk to you first, Vishy. You haven't been around for a little bit. How does it feel to be back now that the club has been newly renovated?
Fantastic to be back. I mean, I've not been here for 6 years, and I've not seen giant scissors before in St. Louis. So, yeah, great changes and great to be back.
And Garry, you, of course, have been friends of the club for many years. You're here quite frequently. Now the club is in a new place, bigger, 30,000 square feet. How does it feel to be here playing a match against Vishy in this beautiful new surroundings?
I only hope that the quality of my chess will fit these new beautiful surroundings. And I could see it's the club who is growing bigger. And it's very natural. The chess is growing bigger, and the chess capital of the world must grow as well.
Absolutely. Well, we're now going to go to the drawing of lots. So let's take it over to the area where they will be playing. I will now pass the microphone on to Chris Bird, the arbiter for the match, and we will see who plays what in the first game.
Thank you, Maurice. Yes, we're going to do a drawing of colors. The player who selects the white pieces will have white in game 1 on days 1 and 3. And the other player will have white in game 1 on day 2, and then we'll alternate throughout the days then. Garry, if I can have you. So you will go white, black throughout the day. Day 2, if you select the white pieces, you'll go black, white. And then day 3, we'll go back to white, black. Garry, if I may have you select one of these wonderful Versace watches, please. They have a sign on the back that says either white or black, so you won't be able to wear it during the games, but, you know. On the back of the box, actually, it says black. So, and Vishy, if I can have you select the other one, just to make sure that we're being honest here. And Vishy has the white pieces for day 1 and day 3, and Garry will start with black on day 1 and day 3. Next thing we're going to do is the position reveal. So that will appear on the monitor here, and once we're through with the position reveal, we'll get the players settled so that they can start looking at the position with their designated seconds. So, Eric, if you can do me the honors and see the first position, or the position that we're going to use today. Position 635, Rook, Knight, King, Queen, Bishop, Rook, Knight, Bishop. I'll pass it back to Maurice.
Position 635 as they begin to battle these great legends of the sport for the next 3 days. Back to you all in the studio.
Thank you so much, Maurice Ashley. Lots are drawn. The position is drawn. Chess history meets chess innovation and a renovation here at the St. Louis Chess Club. What a way to unveil some of the renovations that have taken place in these hallowed grounds.
Absolutely, James. What a great start. Let's do that new position.
Let's take a look at it. For those who had eagle eyes, you would have seen position 635. But those of you who might be unfamiliar with Chess 960 or Fischer Random Chess, as it's colloquially known, we start with the back rank pieces all scrambled up as drawn by the position there. So the pieces have been flipped. Immediately we see things that jump out to me. Bishops positioned in the corner. I'm always looking for those long diagonals and whether or not they will come into play early on as we start to evaluate this position in play.
Absolutely. I always look at the king. Like, how am I going to castle king side? How am I going to castle queen side? Tell our viewers about the format for this Clash of the Legends.
Let's talk about it because it's going to be action-packed. It's 12 rounds of Chess 960 action over the course of 3 days, so 4 games played per day. Now, important to note, no draw offers before the completion of Black's 60th move, but every day will sport 2 rapid games followed by 2 Blitz games. So that's 25-10 and 5+3 when it comes to the time controls. But here's where it gets really interesting and fun, in my opinion. It's the scoring system that we have in play. As you can see, ramping up throughout our 3 days of play. That, to me, means that no matter what the results are here on day 1, we're guaranteed some fireworks still on day number 3.
Absolutely. With the Clutch Chess point system, that day 3, that's when you really want to shine and get those points.
So points for pride, but also some prize money on the line. Here's the schedule, though. Today, the 8th, we're going to see 2 rapid games followed by 2 Blitz games. We started a little later today, but make sure you note that time at the bottom of your screens. 11:40 a.m. Central Time for our 2 preceding days, Thursday the 9th and Friday the 10th. We hope you will be here for the entire ride with us because this is action you absolutely won't want to miss. There's pride on the line. There's prize money on the line. These guys have storied careers. They've been to the top. But even still, a cool prize fund of $144,000 is in play here. Winner taking home $70K, runner-up takes $50K, and if tied after 12 games, the prize fund will be evenly split. But there's a discrepancy there, is there not?
I saw that. $24,000 is missing, James. Wow. Tell us about that $24,000.
Let's see if we can find out where that $24,000 went. Oh, it's bonus money over 12 games. $1,000 per game won here on day 1, and that will increase, as you can see, over consecutive days. $2,000 per win on day 2 and $3,000 on day 3. Now, of course, this bonus money, if it ends in draws, will be rolled over all the way to games 11 and 12 from those previous rounds. And if 11 is still a draw, then boom, it all gets dumped onto that final game 12. So we could be looking at a really serious take-home just for a single game at the end of this 3-day endeavor.
Well, in Clutch Chess, you really want to win those last 2 games especially. As we see one of the all-time greats, Garry Kasparov, just analyzing in his mind as he's seeing this new setup and trying to figure out what would be the most effective way of developing the game. So I've got the position, James, on my on my board. I'm looking, as you said, at these two bishops. This bishop, especially the bishop on h1, the only way that's ever going to come out is to play a move g3, opening up the diagonal. So I know already that whatever pattern I can see for myself, that's a part of it. For black, similar story. To get that bishop into the game is going to open. This bishop is misplaced. I love the queen. I love the rook. I start to think, you know, I could play f4, I could play d4. It's about effective development. Knight's coming to c3.
Talk to me about the, let's say, order of operations by which you evaluate a chess 960 position, because for players of my level, we're thinking, okay, chess principles kind of demand that we develop towards the center, we take control. But when it comes to chess 960 and the randomization of the back pieces, it feels like at times those principles go a bit out the window.
They do, because you're tactically vulnerable. Suddenly the king can be misplaced and, you know, there's a surprising check or a surprising pin that doesn't occur often. Like, we don't think about it that much, but this bishop on e1 could very easily come tearing out on the h4 square. And since you're kind of, you're not even thinking, you played e6, you've played d5, and you're not even aware your queen's been attacked.
Right.
So tactics can really throw you off.
You mentioned the first thing you're looking for is that king position.
Right.
What comes next? Are we looking undefended pieces in the situation?
Most definitely.
Okay.
So what's the vulnerable point? The h-pawn. So I start to think in my mind, like, okay, e4, queen h5, my vulnerable h-pawn could be attacked. Now, it's not like I lose the pawn, I lose the game. No, 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 no. It's just like, who are the weakies in the position? Let's protect them, let's strengthen them, and which are the obviously good guys? So I would say the obviously good guys are the knights, you know, where they're going to be developed traditionally. This rook is, again, the rook... I like the fact that the rook is so very well placed, and I'm starting to think more and more that I would love to play f4, followed by e4, and now I'm thinking I'm going to leave the king on the queen side, and to develop a center/king side attack.
And now I always have a curiosity of how each of these players is going to approach that time they have to evaluate the position. We saw both of them perhaps just existing in visualization, but how about this? We've got Fabiano Caruana, fresh off of a couple massive victory, Champions Chess Tour from Brazil to St. Louis, and now he's sitting down with one of the greats to help him work through this position.
Well, wait a minute, that's a sudden shock.
Yeah.
Well, let's listen and see if we can glean any insights, shall we?
Unless you're the knight here.
Yeah.
G4 is
Okay, maybe it's on the 15. I guess G4.
So really, Garry again, and he's going to be black in game one. I don't know how he recruited Bobby to help him. What an assistant! But you notice that Garry wants to play f5 as black. I was saying to play. So he was looking. They've been looking at e4, f5, e takes, rook takes f5. Usually a premature development of the rook early. But the nice part about that is it gives your bishop a sweet diagonal, either bishop h5 or bishop g6. Let's see if we can hear more about what. Oh, they're having a French defense.
F6 f4 taken G5.
No, F6 bishop b4 first.
Yeah, knight e7.
Then f4.
But then knight c6 you get a tempo, right?
Yes, die. You go bishop c3 as
I think black is shooting.
Now who's going to assist poor Vichy? Liam.
Like Juan Liam.
Wonderful. The coach of Webster University, just down the street. And Again, you know, in St. Louis, you can just pull grandmasters right out of the woodwork.
I was lucky to get to spend the day yesterday right there at the chess club, and it was just spectacular to stand on that street corner and see an entire city block essentially dedicated to the world of chess, something that you're not going to find really anywhere else within the U.S. or few and far between. Let's listen in.
I can't make a king scam out of it. Yes. You're talking about E45, knight E2. E45, so E4, E5, knight E2, G5, G3. G3, but maybe F5 is just...
The F5 mentioned
Again, we hear the F5, F4 being mentioned. But in the case of these two gentlemen, they're doing it all in their heads, mental blindfold. They're not even making the moves like we saw a little bit Fabi and Garry.
Yeah, impressive to say the least.
Yeah.
Of course, Fabiano, somebody who has quite a bit of experience with Chess 960 as of recent, because he has been on the freestyle circuit all year long. And so, again, it's great to see somebody like him sitting across from Garry Kasparov, helping him out. Either way, one thing I have noticed as a pattern throughout my short time with this format or this variant of chess is how often pawns are moved before any minor pieces typically come out onto the board, and we saw a bit of that in the exploration here. Sure, there was the quick opportunity for maybe the rook to get developed, but then we saw maybe 5, 6, 7 pawn moves before anyone even considers bringing a minor or a major piece into the fold.
Yeah. So in that particular case, what you're just describing there, James, early pawn moves, is like they're trying to get a grip. They're trying to get a pawn avalanche, if you will, to take as many squares and then bring the pieces behind those pawns as they, you know, make a claim in the center. This is interesting. Now we're seeing remember when I was saying Queen H5?
Yep.
Oh, that's a nasty move that Garry just showed us. So that's what I was saying about tactics. I'll just put it up on my board as we keep an eye on these two players. But remember we said the pawn on H7 was weak?
Yep.
Well, that's the old double hit. So
there you go, right out the gate, a threat.
So in his career, Garry Kasparov has always had a passion for the Sicilian, and he wanted to play C5 and then pointed out to himself, be careful, those very, very typical Fischer Random tactics can happen, you know. Double hit.
Perhaps this is a good opportunity for me to, one, acknowledge the mythic status of these two players, sure, but turn to you and maybe look for an understanding as to stylistically who they are as players. We know they're greats, but how should I be thinking of these two before they step across the board from each other?
Yeah, in some ways, Karpov and Kasparov were like fire and ice. Garry was this absolutely attacking genius. He just created these attacks literally out of nowhere. Karpov was the Iceman. Karpov was there to neutralize each and every way. The strange thing was for me is that Vichy was really a bridge between them. You know, it was remarkable. Vichy could play like Garry, but he could also neutralize you like Karpov. And he had this, what really was for me, what was so incredibly unique about Vichy is he really went his own way. He wasn't of this Soviet mold of absolute, you know, classical indoctrination. No, he was one of the very, very, very few grandmasters in the world that favored knights over bishops. Bobby Fischer said 2 bishops was a big advantage. You just can't give up your bishops. This is one man, and really uniquely so, who was willing to do that. Only Bent Larsen came as close as Vichy did. Oh, now Vichy and Liam actually have some moves on their board.
There we go.
Maybe we can sneak in on, look at Liam. And now they take their moves back.
Right as they heard you, and they said, we're not giving away any information to the commentary team. You know, another thing that's come up in my conversations with a number of pros, I'll quote Levon Aronian quite specifically when I was asking him about how he evaluates chess 960 positions. Obviously, some of the things we talked about, king position, the undefended pieces early on. But then his big thing was which player is going to have the opportunity to break the symmetry of the position or force the breaking of the symmetry of the position. And I think he typically looked at that as really a turning point in chess 960 positions, even if it happens pretty early on.
Yeah.
That's a crucial moment.
Yes, exactly. Well, you just quote a former world champion in 960, so I've got to absolutely agree with Levon. Shock of shock. He got it right. Essentially, what he's saying there is initiative, and we use that term very, very clearly in chess. And having the initiative means the ability to make threats. And in Fischer Random, oftentimes, the ability to make threats come through superior development. So if you're really good at getting your pieces just in those ideal squares, you're going to be able to unleash an attack unexpectedly, seize the initiative, and who knows, win the game, we hope.
We can see these kinds of games turn on a dime as we're getting a quick look at Rex Singfield enjoying the sights and sounds, of course, of that very street corner that I just talked about. You saw the Chess Hall of Fame right across, and beautifully adorned by a local artist.
Rebecca Buffington, the event manager here at the St. Louis Chess Club, she makes sure that everything is running really efficiently, and she's just showing Rex, like, look, Rex, this is what we've got going on over here, and this is where the U.S. championships are going to be played. This is where the clutch chess legends. There you see the chief arbiter on the right, there at the bottom right. That will be Chris Berg, Michael Kordakovsky, Grand Chess Tour director, as well as Garry Kasparov's foundation director.
Who's who of the chess world, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All here in St. Louis. And again, I just got to take a moment to thank Rebecca, who set me up with a private tour yesterday at Chess Hall of Fame. So I got, you know, the entire walk through. All of these photos. I took the time yesterday, about an hour, just to slowly move from spot to spot and take in the history that has all, you know, come to play or come to bear in these very halls, now renovated again. Beautiful setup.
Yeah, 2008 club opened, and it's just been the home of the national championships. And I can tell you, when the U.S. championships come, and they're coming very, very soon, the players are going to come to a new, renovated tournament hall. They're going to love it. The ladies, as well as the open players, we have a special tournament hall for you. The arena.
The arena, if you will, exactly. Big things in the chess world here in 2025. Now, let's talk a bit about the time controls. We're first starting with 25:10.
Yeah.
There's a big switch up, though, in the middle of the day, all the way down to 5:3. I always have questions about how players are going to just come up against, let's say, that switch in pace. Who will be the person that ultimately understands how quickly they need to change gears when we get to games 3 and 4 later today?
Yeah, I think for me the big challenge in Fischer Random is first getting the zen of the position. So I would actually like to play a classical game to begin with, a rapid game to go, and then finally a blitz game. So obviously they're going to start with 2 rapid games. That's going to give them familiarity, and they'll switch colors, right? They'll play black and white, 2 rapid games. But then they got to play blitz games. And that's going to be really, really hard making that adjustment. I think the rapid, both players are going to feel comfortable. I think that Vishy's big advantage in this match has to do with his extraordinary speed. He grew up playing 5-minute chess, as most of us did. But he didn't use his 5 minutes. He used like 2 of his 5 minutes. He was really fast. So I think that the format itself is actually in his favor. So Garry's got a challenge to overcome.
You know, and that's making me think of a young player named Arjun Erigaisi.
There you go.
Also plays fast on the clock out the gates.
Exactly. In fact, the young Indian prodigies are, Vishy's been their mentor. Exactly. Let's be clear about it. And Vishy's speed was legendary, and they want to be like Vishy. Like, we want to be like Mike, they want to be like Vishy.
5-time world champion. Pretty good thing to mold yourself after and to chase.
You know, I ran into Vishy, this is a few years ago, at the restaurant. And I said, Vishy, I apologize. I've been calling you a 5-time world champion. And I know that's not true because I know you have won the world championship for Blitz and Rapids. And he goes, yeah, 9.
9. Well, now that'll be seared into my brain.
Mine too.
And for always as of this conversation.
I said, oh, thank you, Vishy. And I went back. Let's take a snapshot of this absolutely formidable player.
Wow. Look at that, 55 years old. As you just mentioned, we say 5-time, but we can go ahead and live edit that to 9 when you take into account all-time controls.
Yes, precisely. He is also the deputy president of the FIDE. What does that mean? Well, it means that not only is he an ambassador to the world of chess, but should the president of the FIDE not be available for functions, he is the second most prominent person in the FIDE and stands at the ready to replace Arkady should the FIDE president.
I really couldn't ask for anyone better there in that position. Of course, across the table from him is Garry Kasparov, and as we'll throw up a quick little look into him, it's a man who doesn't really need any introduction, again, because of his mythic status within the chess world. 1985 to 2000, he was the world champion of chess.
Absolutely, the top-ranked player in the world for all of those years. And of course, the Grand Chess Tour is his brainchild, but those little things, I mean, think about what he did with the Kasparov Chess Foundation and the kids that he has directly influenced through his coaching and the coaching of the coaches at the Kasparov Foundation.
It's a good point. Their over-the-board chess accomplishments, of course, should be lauded, but so should their off-the-board accomplishments and what they've done for the chess world. Now, another interesting dynamic that we have in play here is the fact that they will be playing the same starting position across all 4 games of the day.
Right.
So there's another conversation to be had about what you are actually learning from game to game to game and as you swap colors. And it's almost a curiosity of mine whether you'd want to start with the white pieces in game 1 or if you'd prefer to have black play a bit more of a reactive game and then with a slightly deeper understanding going into game 2 might be able to take more advantage of having that first move in your favor.
I always thought having white in the very last game was the advantage that you wanted. The earlier games, yeah. But in that last game of the match, whoever gets white in game 12, they know what they have to accomplish. I mean, everything that came before them has told them, now you must play for the win, now you must equalize, or however you play the tournament. As we get, again, the players, they're getting ready to do battle in this first rapid game. Our goal had been, sadly, to make this event not just like the first time you get to play chess in the new club, but also to have spectators, the return of the spectators. We weren't in time to do that. And at the same time, ESPN is doing a documentary. So, oops. And that was a reason why we couldn't have a lot of players. We did have a really nice, I enjoyed it, signature autograph session yesterday. That was really, really fun.
It was spectacular. I was a fly on the wall for that. But to see, so many different fans of chess of varying ages come through and get the opportunity to shake hands, take photos, and get signatures, again, from some amazing grandmasters here in St. Louis.
Well, we're going to pause because...
Speaking of great grandmasters here in St. Louis.
What's up? We see all kinds of handshakes going on over here.
Grandmaster Maurice Ashley, thank you so much for joining us in the studio. How was it over there?
It was fun. It was great. The buzz is palpable. Starting off, just making sure that we cut the ribbon ceremony and all that for the club. And it was fascinating. I'll tell you a tidbit. I'm not sure if you guys mentioned this or heard about it, is that... on the moment that Garry came in, he said, well, I found out that somebody's helping Vishy. Oh. I said, well, the regulations state that you can have an assistant at the very beginning. And well, I didn't know that. What do you mean? That's a big advantage. That's a big advantage. I said, yeah. I said, but calm down. We got grandmasters everywhere. We could get you somebody. Right. He said, well, please, I need somebody. He said, it looks like we're going to get you Fabi.
Excellent.
That's good. That's good. And that was the story. So now he's feeling quite comfortable having the number 3 player in the world championship candidate, help him for game 1.
All right.
There you
saw
just
the
saw
handshake
it.
extended.
We did.
And the players will take their seat, the ceremonial touching of the pieces.
Well, just as you were speaking, Maurice, it cracked me up. It almost made it sound like, well, give me the menu and let me see which Grandmaster I can choose. Let's see. I got Fabi.
Aronian, we were trying to get Levon for him as well. And he didn't mind either one.
They were good. Let's go.
No greater place to be in need of a second than in the St. Louis Chess Club, and to have your pick of the litter of some of the world's best chess players. Away we go, though. And how about this? The opening move will be that E4 from Viswanathan.
I haven't had a chance to look at this as I was coming over from the club to hear, at high speed, I might add. John Casillo, the driver, was bringing me over. But at high speed, I didn't get a chance to even think about this position. What did you guys come up with? Best move by test, E4?
E4 was good. We liked F4 because the bishop's on H1 and the bishops are on H8. We understood that G3 or G4 are essential in order to get that piece into play. We also liked F4, and we heard the players talking about F4 and F5 in a number of cases. Like, for example, the opening move F4 is not bad. You jump out with the bishop, you follow it up with G3 or G4, knight comes to F3, and the players were looking at that, but Vishy went with the opening move E4, and then we saw Fabi and Garry looking at some French defense style-looking positions after D4, D5, E5, etc., and we go from here.
I got to say, looking at this position, it does look very reasonable from a chess 960 standpoint. The knights are on ideal squares to start. The bishop on H1 is on a fantastic diagonal. The bishop on E1 would be the biggest problem child in the position.
Yes.
But what a great position to start with. If you are playing chess 960, I mean, it just looks like a normal chess position. And these giants, they can adjust very easily to this sort of setup, and you're going to see a normal position, I think, inside, I'm guessing, inside of 12 moves.
Because the knights are so well positioned, just as you said, Maurice. And by the way, in 960, most especially, you should realize that these grandmasters are going to be thinking 3 minutes, 4 minutes on their opening move, their second move, their third move, and it's all right. They will speed up, but getting adjusted to the new position is just very tough. That was what you had there was a, let me just, oh no, we've got the regular position. Hold on, we don't have the, I am doing something wrong.
But while you get that up, I have to say I'm quite surprised to have seen Vishy take as long as he did. It means he and Liam did not look at E6 as their primary defensive option after E4. Of course, you only have 15 minutes to prepare. You can't look at everything. But they had decided that E4 was the correct first move, and E6 seemed to have come as a surprise to Vishy, and he decided, all right, let's just go with D4 and D5. Anybody looking at this just at a glance will think French defense. Like, what are we playing? We're playing regular chess, but that king on C8, actually transposing positions with the bishop on E8. That's the only change there. And then the rook on F8 with the transposition from the bishop on H8 as well. Man, this is going to be just a straightforward type position. It's looking so normal.
It's actually very funny. I am actually a player who played the Rubinstein French as black, where I would take on E4 after knight D2 or knight takes E3, and I would play the move bishop to D7, and play bishop C6. So here,
you get it in one move.
Bishop C6 in one turn, and I got it. See, this is typical of Fischer 960 positions. After a move like G3, protecting the knight, you're going to feel pretty upset.
Bang, bang.
About
F5.
the move F5, and the bishop is actually pinned. That could cost you, that could be hurtful.
That's a challenge, as you point that out, Yas, because if And I think you're going to see this move.
C6.
Yeah, it's just too compelling. This transposition is excellent for black because the bishop on h1 wants some breathing room.
Correct.
But if you cannot execute this maneuver by playing g3, if you have to move your knight, you're going to have to play what to get your bishop on h1 into the game. You don't want to end up with this horrible piece. And I think this is what Vishy, after just move 4, is considering right now as the major challenge. How am I going to harmonize? And he's played f3.
Not the move you want.
No, definitely not. You see Garry jump up in his chair.
Well, the alternatives, though, as you were going to get into those alternatives, and they're not going to be pretty. The alternatives were worse. I mean, we didn't want to lose a piece. We didn't want to lose more time by simply retreating. By the way, and we really didn't want to retreat here. After you retreat here, ask the gentleman, James, how are you feeling?
I'm here forever. This is my square, this is my home, and I'm never leaving. I've become a recluse.
You're riding the bench for the next dozen moves.
It speaks to the critical nature of these opening moves and perhaps why it is these players are taking the time that they are.
Slow balling. Now, on the other hand, not terrible. The knight is still looking, okay, I got development. And now I'm starting to think Vishy is planning g4 and bishop to g3. If he could get g3, bishop g4, life's okay.
But let me ask you this, though. What should he have done instead of f3? Because we didn't find a really attractive alternative. And the agent is saying that this move was not a good move. We're not happy seeing the f3 move on the board. But if we back up just one move and try to figure out what should have been done here, knight g3 looks terrible. There's no knight g5 because there's no bishop guarding that square. Queen takes knight would be embarrassing. Knight c3, knight c... I mean, any other move, would it have been maybe wise to play like this, bring the knight back and then bring your knight out, and then you play g3 later?
Exactly.
Maybe that would have been a move. You could also move your queen up to d3.
Also, maybe that was the best, actually. That move I like because guess what? It does allow us to castle queenside. And get in, and maybe start to connect the rooks.
That's a good-looking move for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Vishy has opted for the permanent f3.
Yeah.
That you can't pull that pawn backwards and fix it.
Right.
No, it's a very committal move. And actually, the point of castling is something that we had neglected to talk about in our preface to this matchup and how it comes into play in Chess 960, an oft-forgotten thing. And typically, we'll see even super GMs forget 20, 30 moves into the game, that castling is still an opportunity and can come as quite a surprise or a nice little trick up your sleeves later in the game.
Exactly. This position is not one of those Fischer 960 positions, but it's kind of typical of them. Let's just take this move, bishop back for a moment, and imagine that this bishop, for whatever reasons, were on g1, and we're talking about castling, James. The move bishop b5 is a little tickle that you may not really want to deal with. So let's imagine that this bishop was on g1. You might have to play rook e1 to escape losing an exchange. You lose the right of castling
Just
kingside,
like that?
just like that. Also, in this case, for example, this might be a better way of demonstrating the point I'm trying to make. Knight f6 looks like a pretty reasonable move, right? I mean, you're developing piece, let's go. Two moves might stop you from making that move. One would be bishop h4, maybe pinning the knight. The other might be the move bishop to b4. You're
Certainly
welcome to win a pawn.
Excellent diagonal there.
You're trying to win a pawn, right? You can take twice, but it's going to cost you an exchange. And again, maybe you don't want to play the move rook e8.
All right, well, the challenge,
Yes.
the challenge now, and I see Garry head in hand, clearly his mindset is, I've got to somehow refute what just happened.
Yeah,
his intuition is screaming at him. F3 doesn't feel right.
Exactly.
There is no reason for him to give this pregnant pause that he is right now, that this long, when he could play a number of natural moves, if he didn't feel like, this f3, I smell a rat. But the challenge, of course, is what kind of form is Garry in? Because Garry tends to not, well, we know he doesn't play too much chess. He flies around the world. He's flying just
Constantly.
in Brazil with us for the Grand Chess Tour. Then he flew to Spain after that, then to New York City, now here. Just today, by the way, did he arrive. So what form is he in? He tends to get great positions in chess 960 when we see him play. But that ticking clock tends to be the bane of his existence. He has now played the move knight to e7, and that is not a move that the engine really appreciates. As a matter of fact, g6 seemed to be a more pressing move than this knight to e7.
Surprising for me was the move knight e7. I did not expect it. What I did expect was what you just said, Maurice, g6. You know you're going to get the boys into the game, right?
Free tempo.
Free tempo. Let's say, just for argument's sake, you defend it. No, sorry. Let's say you defend the pawn with knight e2. Another move I find very attractive is the move e5. Why? Because we're talking about castling, and, you know, like, there you go. You just ended up losing the right to castle, and as soon as I castle, it's going to be with check.
You could have just castled immediately with check, no?
No.
Oh, no. What am I talking about? That's the wrong rook, because the knight's on b8. I saw the f8 rook, and I went to cast in that direction. No, let me get my head straight.
No better example of the difficulty of chess 960 than that right there.
Keeping track of the castle. But the knight on e7, I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to a terrible square.
No. Knight f5. Well, again, the combination of g6 and knight f5, if you can do it the right way. I'll make this argument in Garry's favor. He was probably considering g6. He was probably actually considering g5 as well. And the other move he had to have been considering was the knight jumps, knight f6, knight e7. But maybe he didn't want to see the move bishop h4, right? So he plays knight e7, and he says, you're not going to play bishop h4. I'll go h6, I'll go g5, I'll kill the pin. And that's nothing.
I hear you, yes. That takes a lot of time, and there's a principle in chess of playing your necessary moves first.
Exactly.
And I would say that bishop on h8, it will be imperative that you push the g-pawn.
Absolutely.
Imperative. And it seems like that would be a good moment. This right here was a good moment to take advantage of that. Now, it's easy for me to say, also I have an engine that is suggesting the move as well. But just in human terms, pushing the pawn to g6, you know the bishop has to enter the game. And that's going to be, by the way, the theme going forward. That bishop on h1, boy, good luck coming into the game. While that bishop on h8 is going to be very easy with a simple move, g6.
Yeah. For those of you joining us late, it was this move f2, f3 that rocked Garry backward. Like, what are you doing? Vichy did not want to play the move f2, f3. And the more I'm looking at the position, Maurice, queen d3
automatic
was actually a really strong move.
Absolutely.
Because you're developing a piece, you're guarding the knight, and that whole tension along the long diagonal, it's easy to resolve when the pawn is not on f3, where it's really...
Yeah, you'll bring the knight out eventually, and then the pawn to g3. By the way, I pointed out this idea that, this reality that Garry doesn't play that much. Vichy doesn't play that much either. Even more so, Vichy hasn't played chess 960, he told me, since 2008.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow, that's been forever.
It's been a minute.
Right.
It's been a while. So it will take them probably these 4 games to warm into this in terms of form. And we see queen d3 now on the board. In terms of form and in terms of just orienting themselves to the setting. And we may see some time pressure situations prop up. I'm going to say we will see some time pressure situations.
Almost definitely. Knocking off a bit of the rust here for either of our players in the chess 960 format. But yeah, 25-10. Obviously, you do have some increment to work with, but chess 960 so often pulls a lot of time off your clock in those early moves because of what we've already seen. On move 3, 4, 5, you can get that reaction out of your opponent that something went wrong here. There was an inaccuracy, and I can feel it in my gut.
Yeah, and Garry did feel it in his gut. That's why he took so long over the move knight e7. Now, queen d3, good move, by the way.
Loving it.
Came a tempo late. And it does set up the idea that the pawn on d4, potentially vulnerable. Well, guess what? I can actually defend that pawn with the move castles. It crossed my mind, like a flicker, that in this position, Black has the opportunity of developing his queen. And at first glance, this looks like to be a really strong move.
Yeah, I like
you
it a lot.
attack the pawn on a2, and if you make the mistake of playing king b1. Oops. Give me that skewer. Ooh, that's nasty. The problem with queen d5 is I go c4 and I go,
yeah, you just look silly.
Like, get out of here.
Oh.
You bother me. And at the moment that you played it, is that, oh, this is really attractive, to the moment you realize it's actually rotten.
And it's amazing how from the previous position with that pawn move, all of a sudden it feels suffocating for the black position. Where do I go from here?
100% agree. And now the move g6 on the board. We anticipate castles almost immediately to be played by Vichy. No reason to think about this one for too long. It's such a natural move. You castle, you get your king safe. Well, your king is already tucked in on c1, but you maintain its safety and the coordination with your rook. Although now we see Vichy kind of go into a bit of a think. His alternatives are c3 and knight e2, but castles seem entirely too natural to just not play it and not waste these seconds. He's already behind on the clock. It's not significant, but it's real. And just these are seconds you're not getting back.
Right.
Time waits for no one. And these are seconds you're just not getting back. So again, it's going to take them some time to get into a rhythm. But man, you better hurry up.
Yeah, it's knight e2 or castle. Totally agree. I just have one problem with castles. Here's what the problem I have. In regular chess, in normal chess, in the opening, we want to develop our pieces towards effective squares, control of the center, and get a safe king. But you're also, chess is a game of information. Now that I know where you live on the queen side, I can adjust myself accordingly. I'm going to put my king on the king side, and I'm going to go a5, a4, a3, boom, 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 and madly attack you. So the small problem I'm having with castles,
Which has been played, by the way.
Committal, and it basically says, yeah, that's my king. That's where I'm hanging out. Now the move a5, prepping a4, a3, and give me a wedge in the position, starts to be a little bit attractive.
Yeah, that's a little bit greedy as far as I'm concerned, like hyper-aggressive. It seems to me that you want to move your queen and maybe, I just thought maybe castle kingside.
I do.
But
That's
that
right.
darn bishop h4 move with the idea of knight f6, if we could put that on the board, yes, let's play the move queen d7.
Okay, queen d7, and the idea here is if I go king b1, you got what you've just about to tell me, castle all the way over. But you had a thought right here, which was bishop h4. And that's kind of like asking a question.
That could be annoying.
That
could be annoying. That is something Garry will have to consider, and that weakens that weakness that he has, those weaknesses actually that he has on that side. And he has continued to move his knight. He's played the move knight to f5, a tempo on the pawn on d4. I wouldn't say it's the greatest tempo. I'm a little bit concerned about trying to win pawns this early in the game. I know you're a pawn grubber. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So a pawn is a pawn is a pawn.
I'll take that.
But this early foray of this knight, that's two moves now by that individual piece. And it can be kicked by the move g4 at some point.
What I want, by the way.
Which is what you want to do. So the move knight to e2 seems automatic. What do you, I mean, is g4 going to be a problem for black in any way? Can the knight park itself on h4? I just am not
Let's have a look.
thrilled necessarily.
Yeah, queen e7. I wasn't thrilled either about the move queen d7. The problem was having queen d7, sort of like making the queen a little bit of a target. So queen e7, and now let's go with what you liked was initiate an attack, g4. By the way, doing a very, I mean, when you play the move g4, the bishop on h1, I heard the cheer. It just said like, yeah.
I'm halfway there. I'm halfway into this game.
Okay.
It smiled.
It smiled. So like knight d6, let's say. Okay.
Yep.
Should we play knight c3?
Well, what's the problem moving this knight? Why aren't we moving our bishop that's sitting on on E1 and connecting the rooks and harmonizing. It seems like
There you
different
go.
moves here. Bishop G3, maybe Bishop B4? Are you worried about some tickling?
Oh, no. Bishop B. I like Bishop G3. The reason I was a little bit worried here was, I'm always looking for these. Okay, in this case, of course, it's D6 is check, but I'm always looking at the skewers. Bishop B4, I wasn't afraid of. In fact, I would embrace the move because I would think, oh, you're encouraging me to initiate an attack here on the queen side. But I liked your idea of Bishop to G3 after the move G4. Oops, sorry, Queen E7. We're just getting off the back rank, preparing the castle. G4 helps the bishop on H1. Bishop to G3. Now,
all of a sudden, I'm liking how much space we're starting to control on the white side of the board.
I feel it too. I'm with you, James. I feel that Vishy has done a much, much better job at activating his pieces. You can see his rooks are already connected. Garry has still got to choose. Where is he castling kingside? And this knight on B8, well, it's going to take a while to get to an effective upwards.
In positions like this, White's best thing to do, greatest intention, is blow the position open. You've got your king castle. You've got a lead in development. Your opponent's pieces are still sitting on their original squares, multiple ones. The rook on A8, the knight on B8, the rook on F8, we can say is developed, theoretically speaking, although we don't know exactly where it's going. But it is White with the initiative, or right at least with the more harmonious and well-developed pieces right this second. So White should be looking for and should be aiming to do some kind of bodily harm as quickly as possible. Not some quiet maneuvering, but something that is more incisive, very clear, very direct. You will expect Vishy to look for that kind of move right around now.
You're talking pawn breaks.
Okay, I was about to ask, how do you begin that demolition project?
Right.
But first you send in the foot soldiers.
Yeah, exactly. So what Maurice is saying is whenever you're better developed, look for those pawn breaks that open up the position for your better developed pieces so you can hit away. Now, I'm looking at the position, Maurice. I can see one pawn break.
D5, absolutely. So how do you prep it?
I absolutely do prep it with G4 because I think that's a move I'm always going to need. I think the knight on E2 has done its job. It defended the pawn on D4, however temporarily it needed defending. And let me just put a bad move on the position for a moment. Castles. Now, you pointed out a moment ago with the move bishop H4 how sweet the nectar of that F6 square could be. Now you start looking at things like this with a knight, and then you think, okay, if I could jump with the bishop to C3,
this could get really bad.
How many pieces are focusing on that F6 square?
Although you also have to check the timing of things like that, because it could also happen that pieces get traded off very quickly. By the way,
head in hand.
Garry does not look thrilled as
no. That's the face of a man who's on the back foot right
did
now.
happen, and Kasparov, he's known and has always been known for his ferocious attacks. Well prepared, normally a sacrifice of a pawn in order to blow your position open. But he would prepare those things, and he loves dynamic play. His favorite player was Alexander Alekhine. That is the kind of style he not only played in, mastered, and improved on. He is considered one of the GOATs for a reason. Now, Vishy has a more universal style, can play any kind of position well, and certainly is known as a fearsome attacker. And he very well understands that you give me a couple of moves. In fact, if White could play 2 moves from right now for free, White, I think, would just be crushing in the position. Just you could feel it from the lack of development. Garry did just get up from the board. Vishy's the one using more time on the clock. He is now down a full 4+ minutes on the clock. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. But he probably feels that advantage, or that slight advantage that the computer seems to give him as well. And so while Garry is up and out of his chair, we will see a move made. That bishop will slide out, looking to attack the knight that just repositioned itself backwards. We're perhaps setting up for that eventual pawn break.
Tick-tock, tick-tock. Where's Garry? Your seconds are ticking away. Garry's taking a bit of a break. There's no game he's looking at and somebody else playing. It's just these two guys.
Right.
What is up? He is losing some time. And as we said, you don't want to give up seconds even. This is rapid chess. This is not classical.
He's going to find Fabian to say, how did we not see this coming? How did we not see this in our crystal ball?
Sorry, everybody.
Here he is.
You know I'm the pawn grubber in the family here. So my bishop g3. I love the move bishop g3, by the way, just developing a piece. It's very effectively hitting the knight on d6. It does and I don't think for a moment this is a pawn that Garry wants to capture. I'm helping but there is a check.
Madness.
Madness. Thank you.
Madness. You are asking for it, grabbing that pawn.
Absolutely.
No way in the world.
Is Garry doing this? So
no, this is okay.
I am an agent provocateur.
I hear you.
And I put a red flag in front of Maurice, and he just charges. Now, Maurice has been saying, look, white is obviously better developed. Let's blast open the position.
Bang, bang. Let's go.
Let's go. D5.
First move you got to think about.
Absolutely. So the bishop has to drop back. I'm not interested in opening up the position any further.
You'll be begging in a second now.
Begging.
In this position, obviously C7 is tenderoni.
That's
I would also add that F8. I mean, what if I play, I'm going to be a little subtle. And maybe not so subtle. What if I play Queen A3 here?
You know, that's funny that you should say that, because in my mind, I'm ready to give up C7 square and castle long.
I know you are.
Yeah, exactly.
I know you are. I don't want to give you that chance.
Now, here's my question for you, Maurice. Can I castle long? You castle kingside. I beg your pardon.
No, of course not.
Because my king is passing through
the F8 square.
F8 square.
Correct.
Which means, because, you know, all I'm doing is I'm jumping over my rook.
Right.
But to do that, you have to pass through the laser action of that queen on A3.
Exactly.
So that ain't happening, buddy. Now, if you move your rook, now you can't castle that way. And if you castle the other way, my queen's really well positioned on A3 to snap off the A pawn.
Correct.
And by the way, that last move you just played just hung F7. Right? Or you're at least, I mean, of course, my knight on E2 is hanging for the moment. So you have to be at least cognizant of that. There's no way.
No way.
There's just no way you're going to live through this.
This is not a Garry Kasparov position as black.
And it looks like he decided. Yeah, Garry, I'll tell you how long Garry thought about taking that pawn.
Nanosecond.
0 time.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't even look at it.
Yeah.
This is not the kind of pawn Garry wants to get. But nevertheless, as we look at this position, the only problem in White's game is the bishop on H1.
Clear.
And it's not necessarily so easy. Well, let's add it up. The bishop on H1 is a problem, but the knight on a B8 can head to A6 or even D7. That's the only problem in Black's position that I see.
Correct.
If he can stabilize in the next couple of moves, give Black 2 moves, and Black could say, I'm good.
I'm okay.
Like, this is a position.
What's going on with that?
Do we feel then those 2 minor pieces, they're the crucial pieces to really get involved and determine who's actually going to come out on top in this?
That's our feeling in this exact position, that White's issue is the bishop on H1, Black's issue is the knight on B8. Let's go. Let's develop a knight and threaten knight B4 and maybe knight to D5.
Ooh, that's so slow, though, is it not?
No, I mean, if I can get it to B4, I'll win a tempo.
Okay. Yeah, you can't allow that piece in. You want to play the move D5 here, obviously, as White. This would be the line we've been looking at.
Dream.
Of course, but the move knight B4 wakes you up, hitting the queen, hitting the pawn on D5, and you say, I didn't get the break I wanted. Just donated a pawn there.
Let me interrupt you and say that VAR, Grandmaster Varujan Jacobian in our production booth, he says, wait a minute, guys, did you see that Garry used 2 hands to castle? That's not correct. There you see it. He used 2 hands to castle. Rules of chess are that you use 1 hand. You can use 2 hands where capture is concerned. I want to take your piece off the board and put my piece in the way. But when you castle, it's supposed to be one-handed.
It's a good observation. I actually did it in a hustle video.
Oh,
you did? I did with viral video, and people were like, "Well, Maurice, you castle with 2 hands." Well, the arbiter didn't come over and smack Garry or reprimand him in any way.
And Vichy chose not to speak up either. Maybe you
No
could give me
problem.
a bit of a history lesson. Is that just a matter of etiquette, or is there more of a reason behind the idea that we're doing everything with one hand?
It's a rule.
Okay.
It's a rule.
Just
When
simply
you use one hand when you're moving pieces.
Remember, it's touch
castles.
move. So which piece did you touch?
Touch.
First.
If he had touched the rook first, then all of a
Right,
sudden
hey, you gotta
castling
move your
is actually
rook.
not an
Move your
option.
rook. Exactly. So it just cleans everything up, particularly in professional play. Like I said, with me, it was a blitz game or whatever.
Right.
But this is for $144,000 on the line. We want to.
Feels a little bit more than a hustle, huh?
Yes, indeed. At any rate, here's knight a6.
Wow.
And
Okay.
we can anticipate that knight, it wants to come into the game, and instantly Vichy says, that piece is not going anywhere anytime soon. I want to control that piece. Even if you're able to develop the rest of your pieces, we want to establish a bad piece of some kind. And this is the kind of move that strong players do. They'll just rush forward with the attack, make a move that says, we're restraining you now. I'll go figure out what to do in a couple of moves, and you'll always have to wonder, how do I get this ugly horse into the game?
A knight on the rim is dim.
There
right?
you go.
And so now it feels like I just pigeonholed myself. I made what was already an uncomfortable piece, maybe even more uncomfortable, now sitting over there on a6.
Okay, but I did provoke what our friend Christian Carilla likes to call a hook. If ever the moves b5, b4 ever start to land, I will pry open the queen side. The move rook on a to d8, I like that move a lot. Not only does it develop, but it tries to take the sting. Vichy was obviously gearing up for this move, d4, d5. It tries to take the sting out of this move because in case of d4, d5,
Garry's got up again from the board. A lot of players like to get up, walk around. He's looking like a very confident man right now. But he's one of those who likes to walk around. We've seen him for years and years. He's like a hawk. He wants to just lord over his prey, not worried about sitting there focused for too much. You notice Vichy has not gotten up once from the chessboard. Vichy's just stone cold. I'm sitting here for a minute, and I'm not going anywhere. But here you're showing this variation.
Exactly. Where I feel that Vichy isn't getting anything with the pawn break, he didn't make it. He made a secondary move. I think he took.
He did take on d6.
On d6.
He captured on d6, and that shuts down the d file. So rook a d8, hoping to have some pressure along that on that file. Sorry.
No,
That file is closed.
Yeah.
That door is closed. Now, though, you did get one square for your knight on a6. It now has the c7 square to journey to on the path to d5.
Yep.
So Vichy has to show something soon.
I think there's some trade-offs here, guys. I'm seeing, remember we were talking about the break d5, and you were saying, Maurice, you want to be able to pry open the position. Another break, potentially, is for the move f4, f5. And that invites the trade of bishops, by the way.
f4 on the board.
Yeah, and I like that move because, again, I see white as the one dictating and saying, I can play the move d5, I can play the move f5.
It looks as though black doesn't have similar breaks to use
Precisely.
in his position, and that bishop on h1 that had been a problem child for so long had not moved after 14 moves. Now it's breathing some air and saying, I know you went there as early as move 4 with bishop to c6, but now we can trade off that bishop on the diagonal. Give me your good piece from my bad one, and then I'm going to go about my business, as you said, yes.
Yeah.
f5 is going to be in the position. d5 is going to be in the position. And for the moment, the knight on a6 is still a little bit of a problem. This is advantage white. It's not massive, maybe, but it's definitely there.
And it's comfy. It's easy play. I don't have to be a genius to handle my business here. I'm going to play king b1, stopping these queen g5 check ideas. I'm going to go king b1. I'm going to play f5. And by the way, if I can get in d5 as well, give me that too. So from Vichy's point of view, he's the one who can initiate the clash. From black's side, where's black's
That was my question.
Yeah.
That was going to be my question.
Whoa.
Show me black, give black a couple of moves.
I'm reacting.
You want to play b5? I might snap it off if you put the pawn on b5, especially if we trade off bishops.
Right.
I mean, if you play bishop takes bishop and then b5, I'm taking it. So you don't have b5, b4 that easily. E5 looks like an absolute no-no, right? Like, how do you even figure out a way to organize your pieces for that? And f5 is your main pawn break, but do you really want to open up the side of the board where your king is sitting? Maybe you do. Maybe give yourself some kind of space to stop white from playing the move f5 himself. But it is clearly white. Any GM looking at this say, I'm taking white.
No, I prefer.
Ever so slowly, right? That weakness, that light squared bishop is becoming very much a strength now in Vishy's position.
Yep.
Now, kings on opposite sides of the board. I have typically understood that as kind of an opening of the gates for aggression.
Yes.
Right? That both sides now need to be launching attacks as opposed to maybe being conservative and looking to turtle up.
Right.
But by all accounts, it sounds like only one person really has the permission to go on the attack. Even now, a retreating move with the knight looking to reroute here.
Right.
Gary's trying to find those defensive resources.
Exactly, and that's what he's doing. And I like that turtle up. Huh? But yes, white's king on the queen side means that he can launch an attack. H4, H5. Let's get down to business. White's king on B1. Black B5, H4, B4. Let's get down to the business over there.
Yeah, so you just said it.
Yeah.
If you put a pawn on H4 right now.
Right, let's do it.
You've got D5 potential, F5 potential, H5 potential. Show me what black has.
Send the infantry.
This is not a move that Garry would like to see happen on the board.
No.
He is now, by the way, remember that lead he had on the clock? Let's note, he's the one now who's down 3+ minutes on the clock with no real play, no initiative to speak of. He's going to have to defend what looks like an honest, and there's the move. H4 on the board. Garry sitting up in his chair and thinking, I don't like to be hunted, but sorry, you are the prey right now, and you've got to figure out exactly what to do.
Vishy hasn't played the variant since 2008, and he's playing it near perfectly here today in 2025.
Yeah, I wouldn't double guess any move so far. You know, I'm seeing, gentlemen, I'm sorry to say this for Garry Kasparov fans, I'm seeing play on one goal. I'm seeing Vishy playing, you know, we've been talking about it, H5, F5, D5, and Garry, he's watching. He needs to mix things up. And I don't think you can just lay back and watch these F5. It's not the move I would really want to play in the position, but
it might be necessary.
Yes, exactly. It does protect against H7. I'm actually feeling okay with this. My rook is actually patrolling against both H5 as well as D5 breaks. So I don't think you're capturing.
But I mean,
it's not a move I like. I gotta be honest.
Screaming for multiple pawn breaks. What if you play H5? I know you don't like the book, Pawn Power by Hans Kmach. Yeah, I know. You shiver whenever I mention this book. But this is the kind of lever action that Kmach talked about. Those pawns, I mean, you got to admit, that looks sexy. The way the pawns are hitting G6, F5, the pawn chain around black's king is collapsing. Look at white's king. Hey, homie, beautiful. I'm chilling like a villain. I'm good. Your king is the one where pawns are just going to be opening up on that side. You can't take on G4 now because I take on G6. Or do you? I mean, what do you do here?
No, this is this looks disaster. Actually.
Looks horrible.
Yeah.
H5 is a money move. Maybe you have to.
I would take it.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
So what am I thinking? Why would I take that? Which obviously is a gross move. It opens up the G file. Guess what? After the G file is...
And it's on the board. Excuse me. Yep. F5 on the board. We are seeing some hot chess at the moment.
Garry smelled the bacon, and it was his bacon that was being sizzled. So that move F5 had to stop and reverse and say, look, I need to flip the script here.
They both know it.
H5.
They both know it, by the way. This is
the most fun we're going to have. Let's take a look.
Man.
Okay, I take it. Kill me, guys. Take on F5, perhaps?
Okay.
Okay?
Well, we're voluntarily opening that file.
So what I'm dreaming as black is this bishop's going to come out and the king's going to hide on H8. That's all I'm asking is like a little case.
Freeze frame, homie. I'm sorry. Let's back it up.
Okay. I take it.
What about D5?
Now?
I mean, just... Just like, let's cause some fire in this position. You want to open up the game? Let's open it up.
You're opening a new front in
and
the battle.
He's played G5, the more quiet, sedate. And this has, and the engine has said, no, this is not the way to play. G5 has shut down so much of the danger in the position. This kind of controls chess. Garry looked like
a sense of relief.
I can breathe. I can breathe.
So then, if Garry has an immediate reaction like that, where's the logic in the move like this? Because it does seem to close the position in the moment of trying to attack, where you want to open it up.
I'm stunned.
Yeah, Vishy's thought, long range, was that he's going to play H5 nonetheless and taking on G6, or maybe even playing H6 and keeping it completely closed. What I think Vishy underestimated, it's a very strange-looking move, but once you see it, you go, I get it. I'll play the move D5.
Oh, okay. We're going the other way on D5.
Let's lock everything down. Let's close up shop. Give me a few moves. Give me knight E8. Oops, sorry. Give me knight E8.
You can just the arrow, yeah.
Knight D6.
Put that on E4.
And put that on E4. And you're not going after my king. Let's just put a move on the board. I'm not saying
but also, yes. Yeah. Also, I understand you're playing positional chess and all that. I'm also fascinated, if we take this position after D5, that black, with the center closed, with it shut down, the gravity of the game shifts to the wings.
Yes.
It's possible for Garry to now start playing B5, A5, B4. Leave the knight right where it is and go whole hog. You were trying to get at my king. It's time for me to get at your king.
Exactly.
So B5, A5, B4, open up that side. I'm attacking. I'm going to shift over. This is totally shifted. That move G5 was so much slower than he could have approached the position, and Garry is sitting up.
Garry just played that move that leads to the
and D5 with that exclam on the board, and Vishy definitely has slipped with the move G5. The engine is also showing that this position is not necessarily that great for white anymore, and H5 on the board, as we said, the shift in the gravity of the situation, the center is closed. You might have thought of that backward pawn on the open file. That pawn on E6, take a look. That pawn right there looks weak, Good luck.
Attacking.
Who are you attacking it with? The knight is guarding it on C7.
Right.
So we have moves. We can just leave it there and go for it on the other side. Garry's looking over, but I'm going to say I'm sorry, we're going to pound the pavement many times on this. Time is not your friend.
True.
Time is not your friend. Look at the clock.
Ooh,
Garry
under 5
has only 4 minutes and 15 seconds ticking down. Vishy has 9:49. You can have as much a good position as you want. You're okay. That's great. But you only have about 30 seconds left. You're not going to play best moves time after time after time.
No.
Time is not your friend. Garry has wasted a lot of time getting to this position.
Now dipping between, or below, rather, 4 minutes for the first time. Of course, they do have 10-second increments, so we're not necessarily going to see anyone flag. But time becomes something that eats at the back of your brain.
It
lessens your ability to make the optimal move.
Exactly.
With that, we see kind of both ideas on the board, right? We have the D5 push. Now, he's going to take over here.
What?
What?
Why? Okay. I mean, even before you see the engine bubble, why are you opening up that side?
Well, the funny part for me was that I had actually thought, if you take that pawn and you end up putting your bishop on G6, it's going to be really, really hard to open up the king side. But no. I was definitely all for B5, A5,
Go
B4,
for it.
Bring it.
This is such an odd move to bring the bishop back. And as you said, you could put your bishop on G6, but that bishop on G6, you have a funny term for that, as I remember. Septilicus or something? Septilicus, that is the term
you have
use.
to think of a septic piece.
Okay.
A septilicus is a piece that resides
the rest
yeah. It's terrible.
It does sound very much like a disease. My liver stutters at the idea of a septic piece.
I mean, the bishop on G6 is going to look terrible. The engine also gives that a bad move. And Garry playing this move, my heart hurts for the harmony, as far as harmony in the position is concerned, and just for the life of this one single piece. Poor thing.
Well,
what he's done.
Look at it. He has gone ahead. By the way, you could also just go get the pawn,
right,
and still open up that side. So you didn't shut anything down by taking on h5.
What I think he has in mind is that we're going to trade bishops on my terms, straighten out my structure, and I'm ready to vacate. I'm going to put on my tennis shoes, get running, king f7 and rook h8. Very unusual for Garry Kasparov to be playing such a defensive way, in defensive style, when he had that opportunity to go b5, a5, b4. I did not expect
Finding his
that.
way to a stonewall structure.
They have picked up the pace, by the way, in the last couple of moves.
Let's see.
As you see, we've seen quite a few moves get played. Vishy decided his knight on c3 did not have a future. Let's bring it back. He's brought his bishop back to e1. Just in case you were thinking of putting your knight on d6, that bishop is going to snap that sucker off before you ever get to e4. That might have been Garry's plan. Maybe that's what he thought he could execute.
Right.
But it ain't going to happen. And he's now playing queen c7. That is his intention. If a knight, and I will agree, if a knight lands on e4, this could be a challenge for white to break through.
Agreed.
But at the moment, it looks as though Vishy can shut that down and not allow it to happen. In the meantime, the h-pawn is dead. I mean, it's just dead.
Gone.
The harmony in white's position is fantastic. Everything in white's position looks wonderful, including the knight on e2. Black's position, on the other hand, looks like a picture of disharmony. They just look like pieces on squares. And he's behind on the clock down to 4:08 and ticking, while Vishy has 8:06. And the problem, as far as Vishy is concerned, it's so easy to make moves.
No, easy, happy moves. Bishop b4, bishop takes h5, double rooks. Let's go. It's very, very good. From
the consternation, by the way, on Garry's face. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. We got the camera. Garry's not happy.
No, he's definitely the one being hunted, as you say, as king. I'm actually expecting Garry to include moves like, I'm not joking, bishop to g7 and king f7, and getting on his running shoes, because the h-file is being pried open. And you do not want to. I'm going to play a bad move for the players for the moment. I'm going to play b6, yeah? And after, for example, queen h3, right? You see what's happening down here on the h-file. You can see that this is our standard attacking textbooks taught us how to do this.
Bang, bang.
And pick up that pawn on g6.
This could get ugly quickly.
Easily. So that was why I was saying, go ahead, play bishop. Play bishop g7, queen h3, king f7.
What did I just see? He just played the ultra quiet. Vishy has been just playing with his food this whole game.
Bishop
King
g7.
b1? I mean, he's like, I understand king b1. I mean, that's a traditional move, getting off the c line, getting your king tucked a little bit more. But he's like, my position is so sweet that I could chillax and play king to over. And now a5, Garry
I got
quickly
all the
playing
time in the
for
world.
something, at least some kind of play, and also stopping bishop b4.
It
That's
goes
crucial.
to a core sports concept. Wait for your opponent to make a mistake, right? You don't always have to, initiate or blow position open. Okay, I like my position. I'm going to let you stew in the difficulty of your own choices.
Yeah, sure, you're right. And if you go to Brooklyn, we trying to blow your head off.
No, Brooklyn.
Stew this, okay? What are you talking about? That king b1, it is a fine move, and it's true. His position is so nice. You know the maneuver, though, that I was thinking about, because the one piece that I don't like in the position is the knight on e2 and wondering what its future is. And I'd been eyeing this idea, knight g1, knight f3, knight e5, if we could pull it off.
Right.
It's also a slow maneuver, and the pawn on f4 hangs.
In that hold while.
While you move the knight, the queen is sitting on c7, hitting that pawn. But someday, somehow, that e5 square is going to be juicy. And by the way, Vishy always now is thinking about the square e6. The pawn is a weakness on an open file, so long term, it's actually white that has everything. He just has to pick the way he wants to play. You could play like Garry Kasparov and try to blow the guy's head off, or you could play like Anatoly Karpov and just slowly squeeze and squeeze and squeeze.
Can I proceed that move then, just by sliding my queen over one to e3, protecting that pawn that would end up being hanging, still eyeing that weakness as well, backwards pawn. Wow, then
definitely
taking
an
the time
idea
to reroute that knight.
Definitely an idea. That pawn will not be problematic for long.
Well,
And now he has played your move.
And he'll reach for it.
Look at that. Queen E3 on the board, and we see how Vichy just...
Oh, that was the earlier.
That was earlier, delicate. But look at you, James Dash.
I'll get one right every once in a while.
Showing up and playing world champion type suggestions. Queen to E3 on the board. Wow. Absolutely well called, my friend. And there he is. We know now what Vichy's intention is. He's eyeing the pawn with tempo. Give me that. And he's preparing to maneuver his knight to that gorgeous E5 square.
Well, I was able to find that because you were able to call out for me which piece felt the worst in White's position, right? So you kind of pointed me in the right direction. Shoes on the other foot. Let's look at Black's position. Perhaps multiple bad pieces, but what is the most imperative piece for us to get involved here on Garry's side of the board?
Well, I'll just go back to the move that before Queen E3 was played. If you make another slow move, prophylactic move, King A1, Garry was all about knight to D6 and knight to E4. Bishop B4 could no longer land. So the nice thing about the move Queen E3 is it says, you know, you've got to answer to this pawn. Now, if I defend the pawn,
it has been done.
King F7.
Let's just get it going. King F7 was played, and then knight G1 was played, and now rook to C8, hitting the pawn on C2 with check.
Has all been played.
And that's all on the board at the moment.
Gotcha. So I'm guessing we are just going to defend the pawn?
And I hate making defensive moves like this.
This is what Garry has in mind.
Exactly. Knight coming to C4, knight coming to E4. We need some kind of tempo move. Whoa. What are you doing with that rook move?
I'm not sure. I was thinking I was going to
take with check.
Put the rook on H7, put the knight, as you wanted, Maurice, as quickly as possible to the E5 square. With my rook on H7, by the way, the bishop will never be allowed to capture the knight.
And the move knight C4 will be with tempo at some point and guard that E5 square, no?
It will be. It'll kind of force me to drop back with the queen. I don't like it. It's not.
I'm not a fan of the timing that all the time that took.
Let's see what's going on. I'm just refreshing my board, everybody.
So the defensive
Queen
resources
C1.
instead, the queen sliding back to defend.
Excuse me?
But we just saw why. We're anticipating that the knight was going to come. And we understand. I think Vichy's making a
sophisticated,
reasonable argument here for his play.
And we see queen back and a trade. Oh no, sorry, you were making moves. Queen back, knight D6, and now bishop, and now bishop back to E2.
I didn't like.
And I didn't like the spirit. I didn't like the spirit of Queen C1.
Right.
And now bishop back to E. He's played. By the way, could we note? We are playing chess 960, right?
Yeah.
The queen has gone to C1. The knight has gone back to G1.
Yeah.
The bishop is still on E1. It looks like White hasn't made many moves at all.
From the starting position, right?
From the starting position. And Black's the one who's made tremendous progress in the last several moves. This looks like he's reset for chess 960. I'm totally not a fan of the way he has played in the last few moves.
Look at this.
Garry on his high horse.
Yeah, he's saying, look, if I can get him B4 and this bishop is lurking, the knight is ready to jump to C4, he's really improved his position a great deal. Some time has been lost by Vichy in this whole knight E2, knight G1, knight F3. I don't think he did it in the best way. Rook B8.
Here comes Garry with rook B8, and we know he's got a target now, and he knows it. B4 will be coming ASAP, and knight C4 will be a move as well. The fact that the knight gets to E5 after all this long maneuver is of no consequence to Black now, because you don't have an organized method of attack against the Black king. It's going to take multiple moves. I mean, meantime, Black's got it easy. We were talking about the pawn break.
Yeah.
B4 is coming, and he wants to play B4 when you can't necessarily play A4, 95 on the board.
Yep.
Garry now thinking, by the way, 227, let's note.
Time is still a factor.
He's got to play Blitz. They're going to play Blitz later, but he's got to play Blitz now.
Now
he's got 220 on the clock.
Yeah, but Yasser, you had mentioned the idea of the Black king strapping on the running shoes and going across. I think he made it to his front porch and maybe decided, actually, you know what, let's take a lazy day back inside.
It's raining outside.
Whoa.
I did not expect that.
He has taken the knight.
Wow, very unexpected for me.
And planted his knight on E4. I think he feels more comfortable that his bishop on G6 does the job of guarding the H7 square. His knight looks permanently ensconced on the E4 square. It's only a bishop that can get rid of it.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's like, okay, we'll go for this. I got to say, I'm a bit surprised that he made this choice, but I can see why he thinks this is okay. And he's got to play instinctively, just do whatever.
Quickly.
Even if it's not the perfect move, start making moves. You don't want to lose on time.
Yeah.
A little bit of a pause there for Vichy as well. For me, there was two choices. There was the move rook d4 to prevent b4, as well as rook to d3 to prepare rook h3. He chose the latter. He chose rook h3. b4 came instantly. a4 came instantly. No way. You don't want to open up your queen side.
And this is the move that I was concerned about when I was looking at the move b4, is that he might play a4, and Vichy had this plan. And now Garry, you saw that face he just made, leaning back because he's thinking, how do I crack that open now? That safe is trying to get hyper locked down. If he could somehow crack it, b3 is not looking that attractive, but why not just bring the pieces over? This is looking like a regular chess position, guys, except for the queen on c1. So, as usual, chess 960 often turns into just a regular-looking chess position. But the main problem is the queen on c1, rook over to h3, and that's a very transparent threat. I'm taking that pawn on h7 and winning your queen, so that's a threat to deal with. King probably has got to move over. Oh, e8.
Wow.
King e8. No, I did not expect that one either. I thought the king would, you know what? I take it back. He did put his running shoes on.
You're right.
You know, like
a short jump.
But whoa. Can Vichy make bishop h5 work?
Bishop a5 looks awfully compelling.
Because I can drop a rook on the, there's b3.
Yeah, he's got to worry about what's happening on the other side of the board, though. Exactly right. b3 is a problematic move. He also has bishop b5 with check, but it might be some kind of hit on that side as well.
Whoa. Bishop a6.
Nuanced, and Garry not happy. He's upset at himself for allowing this tempo to occur, and now he's going to have to move his rook off the file and put it to d8, which he did not want to do. He was happy with the square. A lot of emotion Garry shows when he plays, and now that bishop can always go back to b5, but the main question is the queen. How does the queen get in the game?
The queen on c1.
Yes, the white queen. And Garry now shaking his head vigorously.
He does not like the last few moves. He just says, I didn't like king e8, by the way. I mean, let me be brutally honest about that.
But
I didn't like rook e8.
Is it so
C8.
disastrous? The Incr's not giving him like death sentence in this position, but he's feeling like he's lost some of his harmony, and queen d1 played. He needs to just reset, play the game, keep going. This is Blitz now. Well, Blitz plus 10. It's not quite Blitz, but 301 for Vichy, 155 for Garry.
And Vichy trying to answer that question you just asked, how do I get this queen involved? So a small
And he just did
reposition
it.
here over to d1.
I like this move very much as it prepares queen to d3, bishop to b5 check, asking black where his king is going. The problem is, whoa. I was about to say, the problem is I can't play the move rook d7 because of bishop b5. And he played rook d7.
Okay, that means
he's going to give up a rook.
Oh, he's giving that up. He's giving that up. And Vichy knows better.
He didn't even take it.
Vichy's not even glancing over there for bishop b5. He studies play queen d4.
A dominating positional move, by the way. I want to say Vichy is taking over the game.
And queen to c6, again suggesting bishop b5 ought to be played. He's ready to sack. There's not a maybe coming here.
He gets the exclam.
Yes, he's ready to sacrifice on b5 and make the game super complex. Vichy knows that that's a hard position to judge, but it's supposed to be his best move according to the engine, but I don't think he wants to play it. No. I don't think he really wants to give Garry the compensation that he'll get from rook takes b5.
Exactly. I think that he, with perfect hindsight, he would have rather have played queen e2 and bishop e5. Queen d4 was a nice positional post-up, but it wasn't ineffective. Queen c6.
And it's on the board, and bang!
Instantly.
Rook takes
now
b5.
The players are really in blitz mode. Now it's a full-out, whoever has the better instincts, whoever has the better form.
But who do you trust here in this position, objectively?
Objectively, I think it's easier to play black because I can play rook to b7 and a4, and I'm the one more worried about my king. Right now, black's king, I don't want to use the term safe, but it feels like nobody's asking me any pertinent questions.
Interesting last move, bishop to f2.
Bishop
which
f2.
seems a little
Wow,
odd. Rook to
We're just trying to offer a trade of queens.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so, James. Yeah.
Gary shut that down
instantly.
It looked like the engine's not too thrilled by that move, but I would say it's a natural-looking move as he prepares the move a4, and
Take
it's
a look at the
definitely
clocks.
Yes.
Shoes on the other foot for the first time in a long time here. Vichy
So
now dipping below
Vichy's
2 minutes.
Whoa.
And Vichy with the rooks on the H file, no future for them on that file. They're going to have to switch, get out of there, and go somewhere else. But where? What utility will they have anywhere? Like just pick somewhere for them to go. There's no file to open up.
Right.
The H file is the only one that makes any sense. He is now constrained, and Vichy needs to find some kind of plan. And he's taking one rook away, and he's putting it on the D file.
To your point, Maurice, the rook was no longer effective on the H file.
It is likely that rook is going to end up on D3, from what I can see here. But A4 seems eminently natural.
A3, A4 followed by A3, or A4 followed by B3. And it's black who's producing threats suddenly against white's king. That hadn't been the case for the first 20 moves. The white king was chill.
So guess what?
We're
actually in move
Queen E2?
40.
That came out of nowhere. Queen E2.
Quite a surprising move, not condoned by the engine, but attacking the bishop on F2, and it has moved to E1, which I think that was one of the reasons why he played this move, rook to D1, so they didn't lock his rook out, so he could play the move bishop E1 anyway, and he has now been coerced, essentially, to play the move, and I'm not sure what Garry just did
Unless Garry was
good sense.
Unless Garry was intending bishop H5, right?
They were both at 132, by the way, and just in that one quick second.
Yeah.
But bishop H5 is your potential point here.
I'm saying, as a follow-up, the bishop on G6 was playing a wholly defensive, and maybe he's thinking he could put his bishop on E4. Okay, obviously I'm attacking the rook after bishop
he's
H5.
zigzagged, and he's played queen. Am I wrong? No, it was not played. What was Gary's last move?
Queen to G4.
Seemed like he did play queen G4,
rook
H4. Now queen back to E2, a tacit draw offer.
Yeah,
no, thank you. I'm going to play queen D3. I'm the one up in exchange. And how do you avoid trading now?
Garry made a mistake. It was very, very clear suddenly that the move queen E2 was not needed. Much stronger was A4. And Garry is just playing the move bishop H5.
An unhappy man. And now bishop H5 on the board. Trades are going to simply favor white. This position was about attacking with A4 and maybe A3, maybe B3. Why he hesitated and played queen E2 and went after some pawns on the other side. He just lost time. And now an endgame will absolutely favor white. Now rook to C1. Didn't trade just yet, but it's not
Vichy would love to trade queens on his terms.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to
pawn
take
on
the pawn.
D3, inject the knight. That's tremendous.
While opening up the rook as well.
But now Garry realizes his whole concept with queen E2. He got lured into some aggressive play that didn't work.
And problematically, he couldn't avoid the trade because if he lets queen A6 happen for white, you're dead.
Right.
Like, you could not let white penetrate into his position with the move queen to A6. Some kind of let me avoid in thing and let this thing happen. This is just nasty looking. Although his bishop was hanging, but just making the point. And so now he has traded queens. They have now traded queens. This endgame, the attack at black one side.
It's completely neutralized.
Gone. It's no longer there.
And just like that, we've removed the knight from that very powerful square.
And by the way, now suddenly, if I could play the illegal move, rook on C1 to H1, suddenly the rooks are effective.
Well, a couple of moves have been played. Yeah, after the trade, bishop F2, knight E4, he is intending absolutely to go after this move. And by the way, there's also another tricky idea. The move G6.
Right.
Can happen at just the right time to play rook H8, rook H7, trade off rooks. That's something you're going to have to pay attention to. And it's very hard. That bishop belongs back on G6.
Right. Whoa, we just had a big move, B4, and Rook E1. I saw on you, James. I saw on your screen the bar went down.
Shot right back down to near even.
Is there a knight C3? No. Bishop G4. Apologies.
Wow.
Oh, there's a knight D2, knight F3.
Exciting.
Yes, if bishop takes D4 now, he could not take on D4 because of knight D2. And there he is playing bishop to C1. And now this position has shifted yet again. The fortunes in this game
going back and forth,
up and down, left and right.
Okay. So
yes.
Now
If you could, and now the knight has gone to G3.
Okay.
Why?
That's confusing to me.
I'm not sure. He's going to E2, and now rook to H1.
Engine didn't like it either.
What
even
was
still. We've essentially we've forced the rooks to line up together,
which is not good news for Garry's fans.
This position is so dynamic. Now he can play the move bishop to F3,
attacking the rook, defending the rook. So rook takes H7. I can just take this rook because the rook on B7 is defended. And the idea of B3 suddenly with bishop E4, this game could turn around yet again.
This game has turned around. B3 is real, is raw, it's in the position. You could now snap the pawn on H7, but you've got to deal with the tactics on the other side.
B3 is really
B3
strong.
is the real deal.
That's
wow.
Really strong.
How is this
and
a
by the
game?
way,
these Titans showing us, yes, they're not perfect,
but
they're still ballers.
Look at this. Rook C7 is a winning move. Black has a winning move, rook C7, followed by rook takes C2. That would be a crushing move. So why?
Vishy now under a minute, by the way.
Yeah,
Vishy,
you're painting a very scary picture for white here, talking about winning moves. Now, I have the benefit of the eval bar. It says dead even. So where is the resource here?
Well, he's done it. He's played B3. He played rook C7. He just took on H7.
And a capture on C2.
Threatening double check.
Oh, my goodness.
On...
Okay,
is this a perpetual?
I think it's going to have to be a perpet here. I think Vishy has to bail with a perpet.
And he's going to do it.
And there it is. They're
what a game.
Smiling. What was that we just saw?
You could see it on Garry's face right
there. Was a sense of relief, right?
Feeling like he got away with a little something there. A draw will be the first result of the day in our rapid portions here. Half a point apiece to Vishy and Garry as they discuss the position.
I'm sorry. Are we hearing them?
Let's see if we can.
Yeah, no, but here, I guess in the end I had to play some.
Yeah, you're probably winning this. But I think
instead of rook h3 pushing your knight, because I missed this plan.
Bishop before, so all of a sudden I'm in attack now.
Well, b3, I have to play. Yeah. Probably I'm losing because you still have a deep pass pawn. And you have king g8, f8 after rook h7.
Okay, so?
Take, b3. And then bishop d2, bc2.
No,
king moves, but you're anyway winning.
But after b3, I have to take the rook c2. Yes,
rook c7 is really good. But then you can play take d3, rook d2 is forced.
What?
Rook c7, bc2.
Rook c2. b3, what do you want after b3?
After my b3, your b3.
Your b3.
I like that they're whispering.
Being respectful to all of the other competitors in the hall, right? Hard to shake off many, many years of etiquette.
Vishy's making it very clear in his comments that he was worried that Garry was winning the game towards the end because this move b4, b3 really bothered him.
Players are up and out of their chairs. That's just game 1 of 4 for the day. They will be swapping sides of the board for another rapid portion before we move into the Blitz side of our day a little bit later on. But how many back and forths?
It felt like there were many, and Vishy definitely came out of the opening with what we thought was a considerable advantage. He slow played it with moves like g5 and king b1, allowed Garry back into the game. Then Garry was again on the back foot, and then suddenly, out of the blue, queen e2 came, and I think Garry's position was under a great deal of duress. But Vishy didn't play it that well, Maurice. After Garry played the move queen e2, I thought Vishy was in control.
Actually, if we take it to the big board, Vishy was in control, but it wasn't that easy, it turns out. Yes, bishop e1 was correct, and then we see this move, queen g4. This whole foray was absolutely the problem in this position. Going over to this side of the board, what are you doing over there?
Right.
The attack is here, A4. We saw it land later, these ideas, but to play for this was not quite right. It allowed for white to execute this fantastic maneuver, the trade of queens, and then, of course, Vishy didn't quite handle it the best way after this as Garry was back in business. The engine gives this as all fantastic for white after this rook move. This was the main problem.
That was
he should have played this move instead. And now Bishop here does absolutely nothing because the rook is no longer under that fork. We had pointed out, by the way, just a second in this position after the move d4 actually was here. Yes, d4 was played in this position. There was a worry about this check on this square, right? So like this kind of move now would be a problem. We could play like this, and now as your king moves, we could play it even like that, and good luck surviving that position. Right. So this was what he was playing for, but later it turns out, as we jump down to here, they couldn't avoid anything. I mean, the hammer of this move, rook somewhere, to be sure, would have been problematic, but somehow he managed to save the game, Garry, and he looked, by the way, very relieved in that position. He looked like, thank goodness I survived that game, because I could have been dead.
I think it was a mutual feeling of relief. We reached that moment in our show. We're going to take a break. Before we do that, we're going to like to check in our friends at Q Boutique and see what they have for us. Well, own a piece of chess history with this T-shirt signed by the legends Garry Kasparov and Viswanathan Anand. This shirt commemorates the historic clash that chess fans have waited a lifetime for, displaying the Clutch Chess Legends logo on the front and the player signatures on the sleeves. It's available at qboutiquestl.com. And you're going to stump us with something, James.
Well, that's my goal. But catch me during the break, heading to that website and grabbing a little bit of merch for myself. Stump the commentators. As we go to break, I'm going to throw a question your way. You can see it here on the screens. Which player won the longest high-level 960 games so far in the year 2025? It's multiple choice, so in terms of number of moves, not time spent. Is it Fabiano Caruana, Ewander Liang? Is it Hikaru Nakamura or Magnus Carlsen? All right, 5 minutes for these gents to figure it out, and 5 minutes for you at home as well. As we go to break, Yasser took the opportunity to sit down one-on-one with Grandmaster Viswanathan Anand. Enjoy, and we'll be right back.
You know, he's arguably the strongest player of all time. And just in this past year, he's been on tremendous form. So I think he can still do it.
Anand, the speed king of India, has also been on fabulous form. He's been playing really well this year.
He beat some of the strongest players in the world to get to this final. And just in the last couple of years, his style has really developed. So this is going to be a great final.
Kasparov is arguably the greatest player of all time. He's come into tremendous form over the past year.
And as a faster player than I am, I have no doubt about this, and he can try to show his speed superiority in this match. I don't care about this, you know, as long as I can guarantee that I'll have enough time to make high-quality moves.
The match is being held on the 107th floor on the observation deck at the World Trade Center in a glass-enclosed booth. Game one began.
He's ready for his challenger.
He's a good player, you know, and I have to admit that this player is much more solid and more stable than Nigel Short in 1993. And I think it will be a very, very, very tough challenge.
Vishy, a big, big, big welcome to you. Welcome back to St. Louis. How long has it been?
6 years. I played in the 2019 event. I was going to play in the 2020 event. I was playing the tour that year.
And it was canceled because of COVID?
It was canceled because of COVID, and then I haven't played since. So this was very unexpected because a couple of months back, Maurice wrote to me and saying, we have this idea, there's a match with Garry, you could play 960 and blah, blah, blah. Right. Yes.
Let's do it.
So, yeah.
Let's do it. Oh my gosh.
So I was very happy to get back.
Vishy, you're not only just an enormously successful world champion, you've bridged generations of players. I speak of myself, of course. Back in your day, in your time, if you will, what was chess like? What was different from today?
Oh, so much. It's like finding your way around in cities without GPS. So, you know,
Right,
it was really
exactly.
a lived thing. Like many things, you wonder, how did you call people without a cell phone? How did you book tickets without being able to check the possible flights on your own?
Right.
Because I'm talking of a time when I was a junior, even the internet didn't exist.
How did you get in contact with an organizer? How did the organizer get in contact with you? How did you confirm?
Yeah, we had this one number, we'd call it and hope that they would pick up, and that's how it worked. You couldn't clarify with the text message. So, you know, it was a very different time, and chess felt the same way. I mean, you and me, we spent a good part of our lives collecting chess informants and bulletins coming by the mail and all that. So it was a different time. I think the amount of uncertainty in chess was huge. I mean, you could do your analysis, I could do my analysis, but the game would be a clash of concepts.
And a mystery at that.
Right, and a mystery at that, because your version of what could happen is very different from mine.
Right.
So much more subjective. Now I think it's converged a lot. Certainly there is still scope for individual thing, but it comes much later and it comes in a more unexpected moment. For the rest, both sides are following the computer's recommendations.
Exactly.
We didn't reach that point instantly. There was a long time when you could disagree with the computer.
Right.
And then there was a long time when you couldn't. And I think we are now in the, but now the speed is incredible. Much of the analysis I did in '95 for my match. I mean, the difficult stuff that took us hours, days to even think of the idea.
To work through.
Now it's suggested instantly. Even things that computers found 7 years ago, I remember that it used to take some time and then the computer stumbled on it. Right. Now it finds it instantly. I mean, you can barely put the move in and the move is popping up.
Right.
This was actually missed by computers 6 or 7 years back, because I know, because we actually got to use that thing and so on.
Right.
So that's gone up. We have seen that this is reflected in the formats.
Right.
The formats get faster because, you know, you can say that everything is in a sense influenced by the computer. At the same time, you have to say that for spectators and so on, the computer has been a big boon because it allows them to ask the question quickly, get the answer quickly, and so on. So it's a trade-off, but really you could say we have gone from the analog era to the digital era, if I can sweep.
But we have trade-offs, and well, there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. It's gone. But it's annoying to me when I'm sitting there watching your game, a top grandmaster game, and the engine is screaming for one move and one move only, and you have a whole bunch of people in the chat box. What's wrong with him? Why hasn't he? My engine says this is the best move. Why hasn't he played it? And it's sort of like now everybody thinks there's 3,600 because they can see the chess engine's moves. So the moment you get up from the board and you played another, happens to be a winning move, maybe it wasn't the top winning move, the first thing they ask you is, why did you make a mistake? I thought I played a good game.
Exactly. I sometimes draw the analogy that would you take a car, follow a marathoner and tell him, what's taking you so long? Can't you move? Imagine you're driving by in a car and you keep telling them, guys, come on.
Come on, pick it up.
Even a faster, 400 meters, 100 meters. 100 meters, maybe the car doesn't have time to kick in, but 400 meters, it's gonna. And it's an inability to understand the aid. And I sometimes say that if you have the chance, just switch off the engine, think for yourself, and believe me, you will be stunned at how difficult it is to match the best moves, because even they're not obvious. And what is scary is that for humans, when we lack the best move, we come up with, we're very creative in coming up with moves which don't belong at all. So you can wander off. And In fact, it's one of the best training methods, I think. If you leave the eval bar, because you don't want to guess not only the move, but the evaluation every single time. It adds up. It's boring. Leave the eval bar on, but switch off the lines.
Nice.
And I took some game. I remember we were commentating on Prague versus Kaimer from last year or 2 years ago.
Okay.
There are so many positions where the computer eval just goes all the way up, and it took us 5 or 6 attempts to find the winning move.
And to keep it up.
Yeah, to keep it up, because every move we made, it just drops. And then, so I think as a commentator, I try to not use the engine. I might use the eval bar because I don't want to miss the chance to think about something.
Right.
Or to spend a lot of time thinking about something where really nothing is happening.
Right.
But so I leave the eval bar on, but I look. And I think it's the only way the commentator can transmit any fraction of what is happening at the board.
Interesting.
So that I think is a very useful tool for the commentator. Clearly at the end of the game, if things are going faster, you want the engine running because you want to actually say what's happening.
Right.
I mean, do you remember the candidates last year? Toronto. Fabi in the last round against Nepo.
+5.
This position, yes, +5. And he's struggling to find the move.
Right.
And till you try to make the move on your own, it's not easy to understand why. But then you realize there are queen moves and there are queen moves, and not all of them are exactly so powerful.
Right.
And for the computer, everything is effortless, and so that's our big problem. Also, it was
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Clutch Chess, the legends here in stunning St. Louis and the St. Louis Chess Club. Game 1 is in the books between Garry, Kasparov, and Viswanathan, half a point apiece. But before the break, I had posed a question to both of you in an effort to stump you. Which player won the longest high-level 960 game so far in 2025? The results are in. It's Magnus Carlsen.
That wasn't my guess.
That wasn't your guess? Who
I was going Hikaru.
I had guessed Magnus.
Get out of here.
I'm lying. I guess Hikaru. But the game has begun, so let's jump right into that. And we see E4, E5 on the board.
E5.
This is what the move. This is the move that Vishy felt was the better choice than the E6 choice. That
I don't like E5, and I don't like it because of F4. I mean, I know, we all know the King's Gambit, and we all know that it really, really has some danger behind the King's Gambit. Let me just, for example, show you what I would hate to do if I was black. Let's say I play the move Knight C3. I do not want to see the move D5. And as we know, in a King's Gambit, you often play the move G6. I'm taking advantage of my bishop being on the E1 square. Look at this. The bishops are suddenly awesomely powered. The rook on F1 is sweet. The knight, queen can go to H4. No.
Okay,
This
but I'm
is
going to
not-
counter
but-
that. I'm going
yes.
to counter that, Yaz, and say that.
Let's do it. Oh, he recaptured. No, Garry.
Well, the challenge, however, I mean, he
What?
doesn't have to play the move G5, right?
Like
you're
in
slowing
this
him
bit.
down, but he could just develop his pieces. The reality is the pawn, the thing that you might be concerned about if you are black,
yes,
is playing the move D6 at some point,
okay,
and blocking your bishop on F8.
Blocking the bishop on H8.
No, on F8 in the King's. You talk about the King's Gambit.
Yeah.
Normally,
Yes.
you play D6, you block your bishop.
Right.
My bishop's on H8. My bishop is not going to have any worries.
Right.
So by capturing on the F4 square, that bishop sitting on the long diagonal is piercing down the entire diagonal. I wasn't saying that D6 was the correct move.
I understand.
I was saying you could take on F4 the way he has done and play and look to get play by getting your bishop on this diagonal. Now, he has played the move G6. He could have gained a full-scale tempo with the move G5 instead.
Right.
Right? Instead of wasting time, maybe he was worried about all those squares he was giving up, the F5 square in particular. But he did play the move G6 instead. And now G3 by Garry. It doesn't have the feel of a King's Gambit at all. I mean, at all at the moment. So how dangerous is it? Well, the eval bar seems to suggest that it's fairly equal. The knight's popping out. The queen will move. The king may castle queenside.
Right.
And I'm not feeling really that badly for either side.
No, but I would say as soon as the tension was created, it was relieved very early on there. And we can see, I think, that both players have taken some drastic learnings from the first game to the second, because a reminder to everybody at home, we're playing the same starting position across all 4 games. So there's a really good opportunity for us to see them cover for maybe mistakes that they had seen in game number 1. Referencing game number 1, let's get the scoreboard up. You can see they're half a point apiece, but as we mentioned at the top of the show, there's quite a bit of money in play. Half a point apiece for the draw here in rapid portion number 1. We're currently in the midst of rapid number 2. But let's see where that bonus money's going to go.
Show it to me.
Does it go anywhere? It goes to the future games. Because it was a draw, it will be added in to games 11 and 12. So that $1,000 that was up for grabs with a victory is now getting slid towards further on into the day.
We should point out that games 11 and 12 each are already worth $3,000. So the $500 we just saw there is actually additive. It's $3,500 in game 11 and $3,500 in game 12. Yeah. So that purse is stacking up, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so no draws go wasted in clutch chess.
That's right. That's right.
We do have knight c3, knight c6 on the board. I didn't like the recapture because the rook, to my eyes, is misplaced. That would actually be an ideal post for a knight. Like, if I could play the moves knight h3 and knight f4, I'd be much happier putting the knight.
Whoa! Right now we're going to spend some time to get into what? That is a very aggressive capture.
Unexpected, completely.
And whoa, back at you, because B captures, yes, toward the center. This is a very intriguing move. He's going to have to castle. Queen side is white. And he decided to capture with the B pawn, so that side of the board is somewhat compromised. Garry felt it was okay to do, felt that it was a better idea to do because he'd be able to play D4 at some point. And his king, he doesn't think is going to be compromised. Maybe even that the B file is open towards your king if your king is going to sit on that side of the board. But I got to tell you, those are 2 radically interesting moves. Right so far, move 5 and 6 in the game.
If you guys don't mind, for a moment, let me just give myself an enormous pat on the back.
Please
do. Hold on. Help me out here a bit, James.
And I'll brush the shoulders out, too. Why not?
I said that because you had asked me, how do these players match up in their overall understanding of chess? Great. Vichy is one of the very, very few grandmasters in the world who had this propensity of giving up his bishop for the knight.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's right.
He likes his knight. And a lot of players were under the influence of Bobby Fischer. I got the 2 bishops. That was a decisive advantage. Vichy played the move bishop takes c3, true to himself. Maurice. And he created an imbalance.
Made almost more peculiar by the fact that they had opened up these incredible long
diagonals.
Left that sniper scope there for the entirety of the game, and yet he feels this is the moment to exchange it for the knight.
This was an audacious move. It is also a move that Garry Kasparov does not believe in. Garry loves the 2 bishops, and he says unequivocally, the bishops are better than the knights. That's how it works. And Vichy is saying to him, yeah, whatever, here we go. We're going to play this unbalanced position. Show me. And this is where we are. These 2 great champions with very distinct opposing beliefs about the value of these minor pieces. It's not that Vichy doesn't realize that bishops can do work. I mean, clearly, the bishops are powerful
pieces. He's won a lot of games with 2 bishops
himself. But he believes in his ability to create this imbalance with this exchange. Obviously, pawn structure compromise as Vichy now tucks his king in a nice little queenside castle position. It is also White's king that's a bit uncertain in terms of the shield that it has. Yes, it's going to take a few moves for that king to tuck itself in on the A1 square. Will there be an attack over there? Garry's going to take it slow and say, listen, okay. The argument has started. The gauntlet has been thrown. Let's show you what these bishops can do. And by the way, you have the bishops. You don't have to open up the game right away just because you have the 2 bishops.
Right.
Long term, the game will open up.
Right.
Long term.
Pieces will fall.
You know, and once that happens, that the game opens up, you get your bishops in the right squares, bang, boom. They start to do damage.
I like it, though. A bit of a tongue-in-cheek way to say maybe let's settle some of our chess ideological differences here over a game of Chess 960. Let's put our ideas to the test. All that said, I'm looking at the current board state, and I'm loving the space that White has to work with already. I'm seeing a lot of difficulty for how to continue to develop my pieces off the back rank here for the player with black. My queen has almost created a little bit of a point of congestion. How do I get my rooks into play? My light squared bishop is completely locked away at home. Even my one knight that has found its way out onto the 6th rank, where does it go from here?
Exactly. For me, if I'm in black shoes, I like the breaks d5. I like the breaks f5. I would like to prep them. I think my queen on e7 is a little bit, if you don't mind me saying, in the way. Hence, I would find the move queen c5 attractive, not only because I could give you a little check, but what I really want to do is play knight to e7, follow it up with f5, or knight to e7, follow it up with d5. I got to, by the way, let's be clear, we're talking about the bishops here. I got an issue with this bishop on e8. It's not a good bishop. I want to bring it out, and I have to play d5 or f5. So
you can play, I was exactly going to say it, I promise you, I was going to say this move d6, because I thought solving this bishop, the problem of this bishop seems like the pressing thing in this exact position. Like, this is what you want to do. So it seemed to me to make sense to play d6 and then bishop to d7, bishop e6. Takes a little while, but the bishop on e6 allows for the move d5 to be played, as well as the move f5. So maybe Vichy, as we've seen, his tendency so far has been to play a bit slower. If we take game one, he hasn't been playing with speed, alacrity, aggression. He's taken things very solidly so far, and maybe that's what he wants to do, just play a nice solid bishop d7, bishop e6. If we could play bishop e6 in one move, you'd appreciate the bishop.
Of course.
You'd say, yeah, this is great. It's just going to take some time for it to get there.
Yeah. Again, for me, the move d7, d6 makes perfect sense. It fits, just like Magnus Carlsen. You had the answer all prepared first of the Masters.
I did have, I did think
you were thinking Magnus.
Stop
you were
it.
thinking d6.
I was not. I admit I was not correct about Magnus.
I like the move d6. But now, having said that, I also like, bringing that queen. This king doesn't have that much of a pawn shield. Queen b6 would have provoked the move rook b1. I mean, because I would be threatening check.
Yes.
So for the moment...
Yeah, Garry's away from the board. I was about to say, this guy is getting up a lot. Look, that, I know where he just went. There, that's the restroom over there. The new refurbished club. Maybe refurbished, but there's still a restroom sitting on that side. And so he's just quickly rushing to the restroom, take care of business, and come right back out. And now Vichy has to deal with this clamp of a move, c4, saying d5.
No,
forget about it.
No,
it ain't gonna happen. From New York City, particularly from Brooklyn. That's what we say. Forget about it. That's not going to happen in this game. And he's also opening up a line for that bishop on e1.
Correct.
Hey,
that's
you traded off your dark square bishop. That's my money piece.
Exactly.
I'll put the bishop. I'll try to clamp down with bishop c3, bishop f6. Of course, you're not going to allow it. The other thing I'm thinking is, the knight on g1. That's pretty lousy. Put the knight on d5.
Yes.
Knight to e2.
Yes.
Knight c3.
And then all the way up.
Here Garry comes rushing back.
Okay.
Got his face washed, cleared out. Let's go, let's go.
Well, he'll be happy to see that Vichy actually hasn't made a move, so no time wasted for him.
By the way, the old school was go to the bathroom, wash your face with cold water, and, get that, let's go.
What's that?
Wait,
I didn't know that was a technical term. Get that. I like that.
Well, there you go. He's following your line there, Maurice. He's going to slide the bishop out and maybe eventually get it over here to the e6 square.
Yeah, but I got to get a break. I got to get a break. I don't want to be stifled. So f5 really does need to happen at some point. And the bishop, you may see the king looks a little bit airy for white, but bishop to c3, that's a gorgeous bishop. And our colleague, late colleague, Jeremy Silman,
yes,
who passed away, he wrote a couple of brilliant books
Many, yeah.
Many, in fact. And one of them was How to Reassess Your Chess. And in that book, he talked about the imbalances. And that was his key message in that book, playing with the imbalances. If you look at the position right now, you can see those imbalances in the position because it's about the pawn structure, doubled. Black structure is very compact, pure, in fact. But it's the bishop against the knight. Don't think about it as two bishops. As we see the move f5, a necessity had to be done at some point. Don't think about the light square bishop alone because both sides have light square bishops. It's the dark square bishop that is going to say to black one day, you know you gave up your dark square bishop. Who's competing against me?
Right.
Nobody can fight that bishop. And it's always going to be a challenge for black to think about it. But if anybody has mastered the art of squaring off against bishops with knights, it is Viswanathan Anand.
Yeah, because he's the one so often with the knights. F7, F5, again, it's all good, I don't want to take all these moves back, but it does beg the question, why did he need to prepare it? I mean, White is dying to play C4 and bishop C3. Why not just play F5 right away? Let's just go. I'll play F5. You can take on F5 if you want. If you don't mind, I'll just play a move like this, just to put some moves on the board, just to show you the concept. Please remember a moment ago I was sacrificing a pawn to that old King's Gambit. Here you can see black's pieces suddenly
come alive.
Whoa, wait a minute. D4.
Yasser Seirawan just sacrificed a pawn for initiative.
It goes to show. I mean, you know, your old dogs and all that stuff. Rook takes F5. We do have the rooks posting up. Remember I said what would be ideal is this knight transferring itself gloriously to the D5 square. Well, help me out here, James. Would you please be so kind as to trade rooks? And then Garry would say, okay, now I've got you. Now I've got a very, very serious clamp on the board. Vishy cannot do that. He cannot afford to trade rooks on Garry's terms. So the move knight e2, I would just find very, very compelling.
This is the minus to the move f5. You might be breaking so that you can break for your piece, but you also broke from my piece, my bishop on h1, getting all that life. Now the two bishops, what did we say? You don't necessarily have to open the position. It will eventually open.
Yeah.
And it has now occurred, and now the bishops are looking saucy. I mean, they are quite happy pieces in this exact position, and more white pieces are going to come into the game. The only problem right now for white that needs to be solved, to my opinion, the rook on A1. If it could only leapfrog to the E1 square, castle with the
rook and queen.
Right?
That would be the ideal.
That would be
Castling,
pretty sweet. But yes, if you could just put rook on E1 right now, black would be in deep trouble.
Okay, so
like just straight deep trouble.
A rook is the problem piece for white. I'm still not loving that light squared bishop here for black. And now that that file's open, the E6 square doesn't feel as good to be planting a bishop on anymore.
I agree. However, my problem is bigger than that for black. My problem is actually the knight on G8.
Precisely.
Because I don't know where it belongs.
I would say immediately off the G8 square. Just as the knight might come to E2 to go to F4, I might like the knight to go to H6 to go to F5.
Okay, so you found a square for it.
Or knight H6 to F7, and then back to bouncing around. Right now I'm reacting. I feel like black is the one reacting to what white is about to do. And in my opinion, Garry wants to play the move knight E2 so he can secure the D5 square for the knight.
If we take a look, by the way, at the eval bar, it's really important as now we see a rook takes F5 trade on the board being played. When you see this kind of lead, and the eval bar is acting a little bit crazy, bishop takes F5, it did not like, and like pawn takes.
Remarkable.
Which would have weakened that pawn, but owned the E4 square. So this comes as a surprise to me. There's no...
This looks more pleasing to my eyes.
What, bishop takes?
Yeah,
yeah, of course.
Keeping the pawns
It
connected. The bishop is now out and fully a part of the game.
Actually, it only gave it a little bit of a deficit compared to where it was before. It looked like it was winning, and suddenly it changed that. That was just a glitch in the computer.
I have played Garry a lot. I swear I saw him make a smile. I am not kidding. I think that move, bishop takes f5, surprised him. I think he was expecting g6 takes f5, and he is looking about giving up his own bishop on c6. Bishop takes c6. No.
He's played queen f3, hyper accentuating that last move.
By the way, you see that little twist?
The queen jiggle? That's Garry Kasparov when he's very confident. And now getting up from the board, I remember this as though it were yesterday when he played game 10 of the 1995 World Championship match. I was calling it with Danny King. You were in attendance as well, Yasser. And every single move Garry made in that preparation in that Rue Lopez, it was with finesse, flair, and force. And then he would make the move, write it down, get up, walk out. You hit the car, walk out the room. And apparently, he didn't try to bang the door, but it was a heavy door to that glass cage they were in.
Yeah.
And it was bang! And Vichy would feel like, what's going on? And Vichy said later it disturbed him. But Garry would go back to his waiting room, chill. And then when he saw the move on the screen, come right back, write his move down, play the next move, and walk out again. Right. And that's Garry's way of saying, I got this. I don't have to think. I know I'm in a good position, and I'm going to let you sit and stew and let your seconds tick away. And now as we look at Vichy, you see the move queen f3, he looks like a man who is stewing on the position and wondering, what should I do about the growing initiative and the strength? I mean, he looks like a lonely man in this shot. By the way, of course, nobody else is in the room except the documentarian and Garry and Chris Bird, who's the arbiter. But he knows full well Garry's next stop is rook e1, as we mentioned.
Yep, that's a tempo.
That's a tempo he's going to gain, and then the knight's going to hippity-hop into the game, end up on that d5 square, as you mentioned, Yaz. There are some things that he's going to pay attention to. Even the d4 square is possible.
Precisely. Actually, because of the battery of the bishop and queen, it suddenly occurred to me that Garry has a completely different concept in mind. Knight e2 to d4. And that would attack that knight on c6 so that the diagonal, the long diagonal from g1 to b7, you pounce. So I am seeing initiative Garry all the way in this one, and Vichy on the back foot.
And by the way, again, if you look at the eval bar, you see that it's saying slight advantage for white.
Okay,
slight advantage. This kind of play, it means with perfect play, it should maintain exactly this evaluation. So it means that black is not in deep trouble.
No.
But it's the feeling you have as a human. You're thinking, what should I be doing here? How do I get some play? What are exactly the moves that will give me a concrete path forward? And you see that last move, queen d7, is a very defensive, logical move. His point is, he's going to put his knight on e7. Well, first of all, he sidesteps
that business.
That rook e1 tactic. But he may be looking, I would think, to put the knight on e7 to be able to reinforce that knight on the c6 square and play for more after this. So this position is Vichy saying, keep the advantage within bounds. Don't let him get any kind of rolling attack.
Right.
He's looking at the building or the stacking of that threat against the knight that's sitting there on c6 currently.
I like the move, by the way, queen d7 a lot. I like dodging rook e1, but more importantly, what you've described, I like defending that knight on c6. Knight e7 on Vichy's agenda. Sorry, James.
I mean, do you still keep rolling, though, with your game plan in Gary's position? Do you start
knight
bringing
e2.
that knight over?
Absolutely.
But check this out.
All right.
If I may, if knight to e2,
your
knight no longer guards the h3 square, what if I start challenging you with my bishop?
Okay, you can do that. Okay. Bishop g4. I go back.
And I play bishop h3?
Yeah, you forced me
you want to go like
off
this.
the diagonal. But guess what? That's not such a bad diagonal either. I'm thinking bishop takes c6, queen takes a7. I'm thinking, remember, I wanted to go to d5. Maybe your bishop isn't so good on h3.
Now we see knight e2 is on the board.
With or without rook e1.
No rook e1, no tempo there, just knight to e2. And we do have the possibility of that bishop to g4 hit, or just knight ge7 as we suspect he wants to do.
Do I have time to get my rook there on the d file, over, just to
Say
slide one
rookie
spot
in.
over?
Yeah,
Say, hey,
sure.
I'm going to preempt your ability to tackle this file?
The questions that we were having dealt with the move knight d4 though, because this is all white. This is a boss.
That's a knockout blow.
Yeah, that's absolutely not what you want. So we were thinking knight e7, knight d4. Then you could move your rook if you wanted to f8 or e8. Or Maurice had a good idea there with bishop g4, just to kick me backwards a bit. But maybe you start with bishop g4. Here, you want to be controversial? Let me introduce another idea.
Trade it off.
Giving up my
second.
second bishop.
Double down.
Double down.
Double
Hey, look,
down.
look, I like my knights, guys. I got the cavalry. I don't know about you guys. I got the cavalry.
No me gusta. I'm not feeling you giving up the two bishops in this position. Those bishops looks like they are slicing and dicing every angle you could name. I mean, look at this. This joker is like bow, and this guy's like ted-ow down the diagonal, and your knights are saying, we got you under lockdown. That would be impressive.
You have to overcome your dogmas, guys. I mean, you got to have a creative, free-flowing mind.
No better way to prove a point, though.
Look at Garry. Oh. He looks grimly determined.
Well, if we return to the live position on the
board,
we are going to see that g4 move.
Bishop g4.
So the queen's going to have to slide out of the way.
It'll back up. Queen to g2.
Logical move.
You got to love Garry, though. You know, he's just a commentator's dream.
I know.
Him and Hikaru. Oh, my goodness. They just show so much emotion, whatever they feel. Look at Vishy. I can't tell if he's in trouble, if he's doing well, if he's thinking about dinner, if he's thinking about watching a movie later. Right. He's just like cool, calm, collected, no emotion, poker face. Gary's like, you know what? I don't trust you. I need to crush you.
Grimly
determined.
That's
what his look. And, okay, you know, every little tick, every single one. Like, you see him changing faces, and now clearly that genius mind of his is working 1,000,000 miles a minute before making the decision, like, okay, I don't want to go through the nonsense and play queen back to f2.
That's a surprise move. Okay, here again, the bishop came out to knock us off the diagonal, but I thought we would at least provoke it to h3 before going to the g1, a7 diagonal. Nope. Garry said queen f2.
Too much subtlety. Let's just bring it back.
Not necessary.
And let's go for it. Still, I got to say, advantageous for white maybe according to the engine, probably definitely according to the engine. Black has no weaknesses, real weaknesses to
No, its structure is fine.
Structure is perfect. All pawns together. In fact, his pawn structure is superior to white's. His knight d4 has landed on the board, offering
a little bit of a surprise.
A little trade there.
I thought it might be going to the d5 square. Nope, I was wrong. Knight to d4. Okay.
To trade or not to trade?
Well,
that is the question.
Bad move. Bad move. h5 alert. Careful, careful. I am a pawn grubber. I will do this. You know me. It's not that I'm just taking a pawn. I'm loosening up the black king ever so little. So there's no reason for Vishy to allow the loss of the a7 pawn. I'm thinking he'll tuck in his king. I'm thinking king b8 will be his go-to move.
Yes, king b8 looks solid enough. The only thing I can say about this position for black, maximum solidity, to be sure, is I'm not clear the rook has as much flexibility as white's rook. So there's the e1 square for white, but it's also the f1 square for white. So white can look maybe to the future of being playing such a move and then some penetration on the 7th rank. But again, the solidity in the position for black, it is quite tricky. Yes, like for example here, rook f1 would be a move worth considering.
Now you're cooking.
Just try to get a little momentum, a little flow, little spatial control, two bishops, let's go.
I hear you.
So, but again, perfect play right here. Vishy should be okay. The problem is Garry seems so confident. He keeps getting up. Like, whatever, I'm going to let you stew and hopefully make a mistake one day. Here comes the trade that
knight takes d4.
We knew was possible. Garry will come back, and we expect
queen captures.
Queen captures d4 for me. is an automatic. Bishop takes d4, I don't really see that as being a great bishop there. Queen takes d4 gives me two purposes. One is to grab that pawn, another is to maybe on a good day pay you a visit on the king side. Queen takes d4 I'm expecting, almost certainly. It's apologies, it's a move too late, and it's something we discussed earlier.
He has to play queen takes d4, by the way.
Something we discussed earlier was this break. No, he didn't do it. It wasn't what Vichy was looking for.
Vichy had another idea entirely is to move c5.
Counterpunch. You are
skeptical.
That's a grimace. That's maybe more than skepticism.
I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Okay, help me out here, guys. I'm playing queen G7.
Did you see Garry just stretch their little flex? Are you sure that he just looked at Vichy there? Like, what is this move about?
C5?
Like, are you sure you want to play moves like this and give me a chance to penetrate along the rank? And this we haven't seen from Garry. I haven't seen this in a while. Look at the head bobbing back and forth. Whoa. This guy, he's saying, man, I got something. I see something that I really want to hunt you down some kind of way. I don't trust your last move at all. Is this really all that good? Let me just post in there on F6, and he has done right now.
He posted on F6.
Not G7.
Not G7. Okay, this is an indication to me, Maurice. He's ditching.
Finally coming in.
He's ditching F1 as a potential square. He's looking solely now at rook E1 and penetrating to the 7th rank with rook E7. The nice flexible thing about the bishops, and we've always said this, what is the advantage of the bishops over the knights, is usually the bishops are able to trade when they want to trade themselves. The knights have a hard time forcing the trade. So, for example, in this position, white can always play bishop takes. It's harder for black's knight to say, okay, I'm going to capture your bishop now.
Right.
Because the bishop can run away at a long distance, and the knight can't keep hunting it down.
Exactly.
While bishops are sitting all the way back, knights are essentially clear targets. So now this position...
But you didn't give me your, when you saw the move C5, I mean, you saw Garry's reaction, unexpected for you, right?
Yes, definitely a surprising type move, weakening the D6 square, exposing your king a little bit more. Looking at it a bit, though, you realize that it does give less pressure to the king itself. I don't see white being able to attack the king as easily, but there is positional pressure that I'm scared of. And like you said, the penetration onto the 7th rank.
With, rook E7.
And your D6 pawn is weak, so rook E1
is natural.
You cannot play rook E8. You cannot counter, if we can just put that on the board. Rook E1, you cannot play rook to E8 because now snap, snap, and snap some more, thanks for the free pawn, and your position has collapsed thanks to that C5 move. So this does offer rook E1, and then you wonder, how do you plan to play? Maybe king C7? Let's play this line out. Rook to E1.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
And now king C7. And the threat is to play rook to E8. Bishop C6, I know you're excited to play, but he can capture back with the queen.
Yes.
You said
rook E8 here?
No. So the idea was that the king is now defending the pawn, and if we capture with the idea of rook to E7,
there we go.
Whoops! The queen dances just in time.
And with the bishop opposite color position, we're starting to trend a bit more drawish, although not all the way there. And C2 could become a point of contention later, as black may be able to attack that square far off into the future. But the opposite colored bishop positions also tend to favor the attacking side. And here...
It's scary.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
Yeah.
It's a little scary. I gotta say that.
Okay. But there is only one Garry Kasparov. Something is there.
There's a symphony at play inside that mind right now, I have to believe.
Yeah. Something is going on.
What is going on is, I just saw, in addition to those motions, the Incr has just given this an almost blunder level type move.
Rook E1.
It goes
didn't like
red.
It didn't like it at all. I'm
That's got to be a glitch. And no way Rookie 1 is just blunderificus.
Move. It's a good move.
How?
It might be a missed opportunity type of thing, but it's still a good move. You're bringing a rook
What
into
was
play.
another move to play here?
Rook F1, Bishop D5.
In fact, the engine is giving Rook E1 as the correct move.
No. It's thinking about it.
If you go back one move, it's giving Rook E1 as the best move. I don't understand how Rook E1, that coloration, we got to talk to the programmers because Rook E1 is definitely the top move in the position. It's just too obvious. And now King C7, you would think, is what Vishy should play so that he can counter on that square as well.
Now, at this point in the game, is it a 1 result, 2 results?
No,
what,
no,
3
no,
results
3
type
result
of
goal.
game? Okay.
I think Garry has a slight pull. The engine thinks it's even or completely balanced. I think it's still easier to play white, but if white doesn't get in something very forcing in the next 5-6 moves, I'm not saying that D3, D4 is a good move. If white doesn't get something and objectively open up the position in his favor, Vishy's going to equalize with moves like King C7, Queen F5, Rook D7.
I think the engine is giving a bit of an edge here to white because of the flow. You can see the eval bar is over that 4 mark and closer to 5.
Okay.
So I think it is saying white's a little bit better. But what do we say? If I could keep it within that 4-5 range, it's going to be a draw. Yep. It's only when it starts creeping up into that 5-6 range and beyond that you're in real trouble. So right now we have a situation where Black still needs to play good moves. The onus is on Black. And give it to somebody like Vishy. King C7 on the board. He's going to defend like the 5-time world champion that he is. He might be a little bit older, but dude is still a baller. And he's showing it here with the move King C7.
Yeah, he's been around. He knows when it's time to just tuck it on.
Yeah, finding the best move in the position, and in that moment, the clocks will kiss, and now Garry Kasparov is going to work with a little bit less time on the clock overall as we crest below 11 minutes apiece here in our second rapid game.
No, for me, I don't know how I'm really supposed to improve the position. I always try to think in terms of how can I maximize my pieces. So the bishop on H1.
Maximize, you
maximize my pieces. I'm thinking the bishop on H1 is a good piece, but let's just bring it into the game. So I put the bishop on D5. I'll put the rook on E4. Then I'll start to say, now what do I do? I want my pieces at their zenith, at the height of their powers. And for me, bishop D5 is natural.
May I say, the thing about a compromised pawn structure is the inability often to create new break opportunities for yourself. Right. And as we look at this structure, it's all about the pieces, right? It's straightforward. It's all about the pieces. And so bishop D5 played? It was played by Garry. Again, you're trying to improve your piece as much as possible.
Exactly.
But Black is got no real weaknesses. The D6 pawn is not super targetable.
Let me find a weakness that I can maybe chisel against. So,
okay, so there I'm forced to play the move Queen to D7 or E7, I think.
As you would like.
I'm trying to figure out which one's better, but maybe this one.
I think it's going to transpose Maurice. I don't think it's crucial that this exact moment. You're going to have to play takes on G7.
Yes, let's go.
Okay, I take.
And then 97 makes some sense? Oh, no, 97,
took a pawn.
You take the pawn. All right, so now I have to push the pawn, sorry.
Exactly.
H5?
You have to push the pawn, H5. So I'm trying to make a little bit
Bishop
of
F5?
Yep, Bishop F5.
Now I'm starting to see the value of 2 bishops, though.
You can see it a little bit.
That said, how do you increase your initiative? Now knight E5 is playable against that last move?
Sorry. Maybe bishop to E8. It's not much.
It's not. It's just a little bit of a niggling advantage, but not because you have no overwhelming pawn breaks. And white's bishop, what do we say? The bishop on C3, the dark square bishop that you have that I don't have, is the one that I'm most scared of.
Right.
But I'm not scared if it can't find any targets.
True. That's right.
And so you're going to have to play a la Steinitz, a la Botvinnik, who are masters at taking 2 bishops and turning them into something. But you have no pawn expansion. that's out.
Right.
So everything you're going to do with pieces, piece play. And if you trade off all the pieces, how do you beat the guy?
Yeah. Maybe there's not enough in the position.
It makes me like that d5 move even more, though, because at the very least, I've guaranteed that 2 of your pawns are going to sit on dark squares for some time, right? Giving me maybe a future, point of attack.
That is true, but guess what? I'm going to stay defensive with that king, and it's going to be extremely difficult for you to increase the pressure on the d6 pawn. So if I put everything on light squares, the key piece in this position will be the king. That is the white king. Where will the white king go? If the king could teleport to the g5 square in the analysis that Yasser just said, so take this king and march it all the way over somehow after maybe, of course, the trade queens and trade of rooks to this square here, well, then that trade, those trades that Yasser just made with a bishop eyeballing the pawn on that square, then we could talk. Right? So we can play out this line while they're thinking, as a matter of fact.
When we were trading the queens, and as you said, well, you're provoked to play h5. Now you're saying, teleport the king.
Man, if I could just drop that king on g5 in one move and change the rules. And also you had no play. You have to also have no play yourself. Because that knight is thinking about b4. If your king starts to leave, you got some weak pawns too. It's not that easy. So maybe you play a3, maybe you play c3, get your king over, but you start weakening things yourself. So this is what Garry's up against. He knows he has space. He knows he has the extra bishop that his opponent doesn't have. But his opponent doesn't have any weaknesses. And if I don't have any weaknesses, good luck winning the game. And that's what Vishy is counting on. And that's why Garry is thinking for so long, and so long, in fact, that time we saw was once about even. He is now way back.
They were equal at the beginning of this move right here at 11 minutes or so apiece, and now dipping well into the single digits. You can see there on the side of your screens a bit of a head shake as well from Garry as he continues to work through the lines, considering whether or not he actually wants to opt for this trade of rooks.
He doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't want to see those pieces leave the board.
I would go... In this position, he did it. He traded rook. Sorry. I would always think in the following terms. Whose king is weaker? If you tell me my king is weak, I'm trading.
Yes.
I'm trading off the rooks. I'm trading off the queens.
That was a relief. And as you can see, the eval bar has dropped. That trade was not the greatest trade to make. And this position is now trending more towards equality. Yes, you still have the 2 bishops. But that trade, we often see strong players, Garry included, take a rook off of an open file and put it elsewhere just to avoid the trade of pieces because it minimizes your advantage. And that trade on e8 did just that. Now we're becoming more and more specific about the pieces in this position. And right now it's only about the h7 pawn. Queen d7, given a question mark?
A small question mark. I guess I would have preferred e7.
E7 was more accurate. Well, why would this be so bad?
Well, again, I'm thinking the only thing I have in the position is this pawn. A moment ago, you were playing the move h5.
Now you can't do it.
Well, the problem with h5 is that g6 was easily defendable.
Right, now my bishop comes in.
Precisely. That's the threat. Now, maybe with the queen on e7, there was a better way of handling this. Queen h6?
Is it not that then I can slide my light squared bishop back and just block?
Yes. So if you, in this position, try to prevent me from playing bishop g8 by dropping your bishop back, well, I will snip a pawn.
Regardless, with check.
With a check. So, okay, so the move queen h6 basically says, challenge, defend the pawn on h7.
Okay, hold on. Back up a second. Because
well,
it's so crystal clear. I know, but just back up one move, if you will, and play that move, queen to e7 and queen h6.
Or maybe it was time to move the king. Sorry,
give
play
up
the
pawn.
move queen e7.
Queen e7.
Oh, sorry.
And now queen h6 with the threat of bishop to g8.
Correct.
Right.
What's the difference?
Let us imagine what the difference could be. Okay, we want to defend the pawn on h7. Let's prep that defense, right?
Boy, that is sophisticated.
Wow.
Okay.
And it's weird. It's weird,
I could never
right?
find that in a million years.
Because there is a chance
Wow.
Queen E2 being...
Queen's more active.
Right.
A long way more active on the square.
Bingo.
Amazing. And Garry has instead played the queen to H8,
Gets
allowing
the
this
edge.
H-pawn to be able to move at some point.
That allows the move H5.
That allows the move H5.
So that's not
subtleties being missed
pressure
by both players, and Garry is almost 6 minutes, 5.5 minutes down on the clock, and under 5 minutes.
But by the way, it took me a challenge to play Queen H8 first before finding Queen H6.
Yeah.
Queen H8 on the board. Sorry, Garry under 5 minutes. Did we just say?
Yes,
that's exactly right.
He's under 5 now. That's
top right-hand corner of your
and
screen
there,
right now.
with some relief,
yes.
He's played the move H5 to solve that problem. But now the G6 pawn is the next problem, but he'll put a bishop on F5 is his hope.
Is this ridiculous? Queen Queen A8.
Now I'm looking to snap off your knight and then pick up that A7 pawn.
It's slim pickings, I got to tell you.
That's not a lot.
That's
not a lot because
no.
we could trade queens in that position.
Exactly.
And then get into a potentially drawn endgame. Let's actually show that.
Oh, please.
That
case.
Let's just play queen there, and let's just play a move like bishop to F5. You could just avoid losing the pawn. I'm just curious, even if you win your pawn, how do you feel in this position? I play queen takes.
Queen takes.
Okay. And what do you feel about your winning chances when I trade queens here?
Zip, zero, nada.
Yeah, so I'm wondering what your real threat is, even if I gave you what you wanted.
Zip, zero, nada.
That doesn't seem like the way to go. So
I saw fear etched all over you. I mean, you really were sweating that one out.
No, that was nonchalance, my friend.
Yeah,
masking is fear. I don't know how that works, but this last move, H5, it is saying to Garry, "You got nothing, dude. Yeah. Show me the money." Yep. And by the way, 3:25 left on the clock, and I've got 10 minutes.
I'll start thinking about my chances. A moment ago, James wanted to offer the challenge of the bishop to E6. That's a potential. Also, bishop F5, queen E7, queen D1.
And I don't like what Garry's doing now.
Going down on the clock?
Going down on the clock. But not only going down on the clock, seemingly clock unawares. Yeah. You've got to feel the clock ticking. And right now, he doesn't seem as though he's even feeling any anxiety around the fact that he's under 2 minutes and 45 seconds right now. He looks like he's calculating some lines. We're chilling at the park. I got all day.
Let me tell you about panic.
Bro, you're going to enter panic time in a second.
Right now.
And
I would play queen G7 and force a draw.
Now he just glanced at the clock. That was the first time he showed that he was potentially under pressure from the ticking clock.
Yeah, and that is a problem. Time management, when you're not playing actively, you start kind of getting into this. I need to convince myself I'm making the right move. You double check your analysis, and you play really slowly. I'm starting to worry for Garry. I would play the move queen G7 and trade pieces and make a draw.
Dipping below 2 minutes.
Dipping below 2 minutes.
That's not good.
There is, I'm going to make this up, there is a thing like a time eval bar.
Yeah.
Okay? Right. I'm just making that up. But there is such a thing. Right?
I'm with you. Look, I know where you're going.
The eval bar objectively says the position is you're a little bit better, but the time eval bar says, bro, you are looking like you're in a lot of trouble, and I might just have to beat you. Because you're taking so long.
That's a good challenge for some young mathematician or algorithm wizard out there. Create an eval bar that starts to take into account the time available to each player.
We got a new assignment for Ben.
Does find the best move in the position.
By the way, bishop F6 has a benefit. If we were afraid of queen E7 and queen E2 as a source of counterplay, the queen, sorry, you're not going to the E file anytime soon. Bishop F6, bishop F5, and beautiful defensive bishop, by the way. Yeah. Now, the one weakness that Vishy had in the position, that's really nicely covered.
Notice Vishy's trying to play solid chess quickly because he knows the clock is against Garry. He wants to play logical moves, but he needs to play progressive moves, in my opinion, meaning moves that make progress in some way. Yeah, push yourself forward. Now offering the trade of queens, giving Garry a gigantic decision to make here.
will you trade queens or will you play check? Garry said, I'm going to play check. And now he says, draw?
Let's trade.
I think a draw is because of the time eval.
Well, that's what Garry
yes,
wants.
Time eval.
I better take a draw. I mean,
I think,
I don't have enough advantages in
and
the
there
position.
we see it. And the repetition is on, both sides saying, respect, my friend.
Wow.
And we've seen our second draw.
Garry said, I had something. I don't know where it was. You saw that.
He didn't have much.
I had something. I lost it.
Let's see if we can listen to the players. I don't know. No whispering, guys.
But it's no, it's only when you get to the position and you understand. But the same position with G5 is better than G6. True, it is cool if maybe not. Like 4, just 6 is nice. Maybe only 4. You still cannot play the 5. And then 4 and then 9, 6, 6, we come on. I mean, C5, I was happy to play and then I was sad. Yeah, but still, after you played rook e1, I went what? King c7. King c7. You should have something more maybe, but I don't see. I didn't see that. Because bishop c6, I have king c6. With king. No, with queen. No, with king. With queen and rook d7 still. I mean, not yet the other one. Yeah, that's after rook e8, of course, king c6. But bishop c6.
Discussing what would maybe follow.
Yeah, Maurice, it was a tense, good effort by both players. Were there any missed opportunities? You saw Garry was prying in that position. Was there a missed opportunity?
Yes, and I think that as we jump to the big board here, that there was one opportunity. We talked about it, though. The move queen to h6 instead, after this misstep with queen to d7. Queen to h6, making sure this pawn can't move. We saw that happen on the very next move, and this would not have been easy, although it was very sharp. Queen to e7, bishop to g8. The engine here gives the best move as queen to e2, just ditching this pawn if you take with check, then dropping back with your bishop. This position, wow, giving up 2 pawns, and now knight to e5, and then suddenly, no, this is ridiculous. This could not be the move it's suggesting. I don't understand. Queen takes g6. Knight to e7 is the move it's giving. Knight to e7. There we go. And look at this sneaky attack. The idea of bishop to a4 is coming, hitting the c2 square. That is some deep stuff. Very tricky, not easy to continue in this position. A lot he had to calculate. Garry misstepped with the move queen to h8. Didn't go for this line. Maybe with good reason, and another draw. But as we know, in clutch chess, draws shift the money over. So
that's exactly right. So maybe a small missed opportunity in that one, but no blood has been drawn just yet here, as it's half a point apiece through our first 2 rapid games of the day. Soon, though, we will be switching up the pace as we're heading in to the Blitz portion of the day. Still 2 more games ahead of us with this very same starting position. Now, as we go to break, we are lucky enough to be able to share some clips from the 1995 Intel World Chess Championship documentary, produced by 9-time Emmy Award-winning Cohen Media. For the entire documentary, you can find the full playlist on Robert Cohen's YouTube channel. Make sure to check it out. Meanwhile, Yasser had a chance to tour the new St. Louis Chess Club. Let's take a look, and we'll be right back.
They can't protect each other, and it's just sinking in how difficult his position is. He's feeling uncomfortable.
Not happy at all with his situation was the champion, trying to figure out what to do, but for the moment his king in check, needing to move it somewhere, and that in and of itself was a difficult decision, and Kasparov finally backed it up to d7.
And now Anand's rook is attacked. He must move it, but he's got a fantastic square to go to. Now look at that rook. It's attacking the pawn on the left and the right. So Kasparov thrashing around, and it's here that Anand missed a great chance. He could have moved his pawn forward to b4. Now look at those pawns on the left. They're connected. Very powerful indeed. When they're connected, they work well together. But instead of that, he simply took the pawn off on the right straight away. It looked very tempting to do that, but it meant that his pawns on the left became split. Kasparov just exchanging pawns there, and notice the 2 pawns on the left now split. They can't protect each other. And although Anand is a pawn up, it's going to be very difficult to win this position.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the St. Louis Chess Club, or should I say the new St. Louis Chess Club. This used to be the entrance right behind me, but since the Chess Club has taken over the entirety of the building and has renovated a beautiful building, come take a look with me. Coming into the Chess Club. Wow, look. What a surprise. Exactly. Very, very, very helpful staff as we are in the lobby welcoming the players. Let's walk through. Hi. Got a beautiful entrance going on. We have an elevator that we just passed. So many, many rooms that we are preparing. Of course, the St. Louis Chess Club is all about presenting grandmasters, lectures, and the like. So we have this beautifully newly built lecture hall. As you can see, pictures of grandmasters all on the wall. A lot of illustrious grandmasters are going to be giving autographs. And this is how this goes. Let me show you some more things in the Chess Club. I feel like this is the stairway of fame. And I'm not kidding, because it's this very stairway that all the U.S. chess champions have ever ascended and played here in the St. Louis Chess Club. We have more tournament halls and more tournament spaces. You guys are ruining my shoot. Will you stop following? Will you please stop following me around? Okay. As we see, we keep coming through. These people always hogging my camera. It's like, oh, it's terrible. More tournament halls. The renovation of the Chess Club. It's taken us 4 years to get here. And I tell you, we couldn't be more proud of what we've managed to achieve. When you come into the St. Louis Chess Club and you sit at these beautiful chess tables with pads for your elbows and these beautiful walnut boards, and you think to yourself, you know what? I want to be here. I want to play in the championships that the club does. And I want to be a part of the journey of the St. Louis Chess Club. You're going to want to come, and you're going to want to stay, and you're going to want to play.
Two legendary world champions, Garry Kasparov and Viswanathan Anand, will do battle once again in Clutch Chess, The Legends, a special exhibition match celebrating their incredible legacies. Kasparov, a chess icon who held the title for 15 consecutive years, and Anand, a 5-time world champion, will compete in an epic Chess 960 match with $144,000 in prizes on the line. Catch this unique moment in chess history live from the new state-of-the-art facility at the St. Louis Chess Club. It's an unforgettable event you won't want to miss.
America's top chess players are set to compete in the most prestigious national championship in the world, the 2025 U.S. Chess Championship and the 2025 U.S. Women's Chess Championship, hosted by the newly expanded St. Louis Chess Club. Defending champions Fabiano Caruana and Carissa Yip will lead an illustrious field from October 12th through 25th, with a total prize fund of more than $400,000 on the line. Don't miss chess history in the making.
Clutch Chess Champion Showdown is here, and 4 superstars take the stage. World number 1, Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru Nakamura, Fabiano Caruana, and reigning world champion Gukesh Damaraju. With more than $400,000 on the line, daily win bonuses, escalating point values, and the one-of-a-kind Champions Jackpot, every game could change everything. It all unfolds October 27th through 29th, live from the brand new playing halls of the St. Louis Chess Club. Don't miss a moment of chess history in the making.
By now, you guys probably know there's a lot to see and do in St. Louis. But when it comes to the art scene, there's more here than meets the eye. From Laumeier Sculpture Park and the City Garden to the stunning Cathedral Basilica, one of the largest mosaic collections in the entire world. So if art is your thing,
St. Louis is on display all year long. Ooh, now that's an exhibit. St. Lou is always exploring.
Hi, my name is Brian Woods. I am the music director for classical programming at the World Chess Hall of Fame and Galleries. It is a monthly series that we put on featuring performers from the St. Louis Symphony, from Opera Theater St. Louis, Winter Opera, and some of the finest freelancers we have here in the St. Louis area. Every live performance is completely different. So when you come to a concert here at the World Chess Hall of Fame, you can expect infinite possibilities all within this rubric of music.
We're the Manos! Welcome to our show! Go, go, go! That's our show! Now go play yours at visitmo.com!
When you visit St. Louis, you'll probably want to watch the Cardinals or the Blues. What about after the game? Heading back to the hotel would be a major error. Instead, boogie through the city and discover the music that gave the Blues their name at the National Blues Museum, Broadway Oyster Bar, or even the legendary Blueberry Hill. So whether you love the Cardinals, the Blues, or the Blues, come play with us. Hey, you guys know I can't play this, right? St. Lou is always exploring.
Hey everybody, what's up? This is Brian Owens, Music Director and Creative Resident for the World Chess Hall of Fame, and I just want to invite you to come out to just a great musical experience. The culture here at World Chess Hall of Fame around our music series has been growing. Audiences can expect an array of genre, everything from pop and soul to R&B and country, and I really love that because it's just indicative of the creative and cultural excellence that we have here at the World Chess Hall of Fame. We want you to come out and experience it with us, and make sure you get your tickets because by next year, may be sold out. So come on down, everybody.
We all know St. Louis is a championship sports town, from the 11-time world champion Cardinals to the Stanley Cup champion Blues. But I bet you didn't know about all the championship places there are to get out and play here, like the World Chess Hall of Fame, Westport Social, and Topgolf, and now even our own MLS team. So whatever sports your team is into, you can always bring out your A game in St. Louis. Oops. Sorry, St. Lou is always exploring.
We're the Corey family. Welcome to our show.
We made it, guys! Yeah! That is my boy! Look at that kid!
You guys gotta see this.
That's our show. Now go start yours at visitmo.com.
The Grand Chess Tour Finals are back, and this time the stage is set in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The top 4 players face off in rapid, blitz, and classical showdowns, each move pushing them closer to a share of $350,000 and the ultimate crown. It all comes down to this. The battles are fierce, the stakes are high, and only one will stand as the Grand Chess Tour champion.
Two legendary world champions, Garry Kasparov and Viswanathan Anand, will do battle once again in Clutch Chess, The Legends, a special exhibition match celebrating their incredible legacies. Kasparov, a chess icon who held the title for 15 consecutive years, and Anand, a 5-time world champion, will compete in an epic Chess 960 match with $144,000 in prizes on the line. Catch this unique moment in chess history live from the new state-of-the-art facility at the St. Louis Chess Club. It's an unforgettable event you won't want to miss. Clutch Chess Champion Showdown is here, and 4 superstars take the stage. World number 1, Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru Nakamura, Fabiano Caruana, and reigning world champion, Gukesh Damaraju. With more than $400,000 on the line, daily win bonuses, escalating point values, and the one-of-a-kind Champions Jackpot, every game could change everything. It all unfolds October 27th through 29th, live from the brand new playing halls of the St. Louis Chess Club. Don't miss a moment of chess history in the making.
By now, you guys probably know there's a lot to see and do in St. Louis. But when it comes to the art scene, there's more here than meets the eye. From Laumeier Sculpture Park and the City Garden to the stunning Cathedral Basilica, one of the largest mosaic collections in the entire world.
So if art is your thing, St. Louis is on display all year long. Ooh, now that's an exhibit. St. Lou is always exploring.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to St. Louis and Clutch Chess, the Legends, where things are all tied up between Viswanathan and Garry Kasparov through 2 rapid games. A draw across both games mean that it is 1 point apiece. And quite notably, there at the bottom of your screens, you see bonus money, still nothing accumulated by either of our players. We'll update you in a bit on how all the prize money is shuffling towards that 3rd day of play. But I think most importantly, gents, because we're about to have a big switch up in pace here from rapid to blitz, our first look in the same starting position.
Exactly. And the blitz to making that transition is so darn hard because you've had so much time to consider your decision. Now, Maurice, you got to snap. You don't have time to calculate those beautiful maneuvers.
Well, at least you got 2 games under your belt to see and get a feel for what the position looks like. We might even see the same opening moves, E4, E6 we saw in Game 1 and E4, E5 that we saw in Game 2. But as you said, you better be informed now. You've got no time to think and cogitate and meditate. It's blitz time.
And when you consider the amount of time that Garry had left on his clock compared to what Vishy had, that would be the player I'd be looking at. Can he make that switch as quickly as we need him to going into the next round? Now let's update you on that bonus money and how it is being shifted towards those 11th and 12th games here. Again, it's $1,000 per win on day 1. Since there was no victor in our second game, another $500 apiece goes into each of those win piles there for games 11 and 12. Now up to a $4,000 bounty on each of them already.
That's right. Games 11 and 12 started with $3,000. Given that they're on day 3, the money keeps building every single day. And so it's $1,000 today for each game, $2,000 tomorrow for each game, and $3,000. So now we got 4G on those last 2 games. The more draws, the merrier? Usually we don't say that.
The blitz games, these blitz games are going to be some of the biggest money blitz games we've had in a while
They
here.
most definitely will be, and we've got a couple blitz games ahead of us. So let's talk about what we can expect to see, because I think already from game 1 to game 2, a very distinct recognition by both players that those bishops on the long diagonals needed to be more involved a lot earlier in the game, and we saw great efforts made to open them up. Now, even still, things fizzled out into a draw in the end. Where do we go from here?
I think that E4, E6, that was a good approach that by Garry in the first game. And I think that that move F3 really messed things up for Vishy. If Vishy liked his opening that he got in the rapid, he's definitely not playing F3 in this particular position. He's going with the Queen D3 maneuver, which we thought, that would still give White something to play for. But the way it happened in game 2, guys, I really don't think E5, we're going to see this again, because I think that this position, all the potential was for White. So I like the E4, E6 approach. I think Vishy might do something completely different, like D4.
And it's interesting here because you see they're playing the same position over and over again.
Right.
Normally we see chess 960.
New position.
Normally we see that it's a new position all the time. And so players don't get a chance to settle in, find some of those nuances, figure out what to do in this next game, readjust. They just have to throw out everything. Like, that's garbage, everything we did, and go to a new position. Now, even we can start saying, I like the pattern, the way it worked the last time, and maybe we revisit that. Or like you said, I don't like the pattern, the way it worked, don't play E5 again.
Right.
So we're starting to see that as you settle into a position to play it a little bit, give all of us a chance to learn something about this specific position.
And Maurice, let me ask you this. I'll just tip my cap to you and having a big hand, one, in kind of the design of this tournament, but a question to you that I'm remiss to not know the answer of. Are they allowed to go speak with, I'll call them their seconds, if you will. Let's say Garry was working with Fabiano between the games, or only before that very first starting position?
First position only.
Okay.
Because
there you have it. From
the
here
reality
they're on their
is you could not control what their seconds are doing at the moment. They're not going to just sit in a room randomly for hours and hours.
Gotcha.
They gave them the first conversation they had, and then they were on their own. again, seconds could go check engines. This is what the engine said, and improve the lines dramatically.
Right.
That's not happening here. We decided at the very beginning is all they get. So Fabi came in, Liam came in, and that's it. See ya.
Alrighty.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Job
Well, then
done.
The question is, what did each of these players learn from those first two games? Do they want to go a completely different way, or do they feel like there's just one little move difference that might blow the position open and create a completely different result? We're still looking for blood to be drawn. We're still looking for that first decisive victory.
Absolutely. And one of the things I really like about the Fischer 960 is this idea that in traditional chess, white has a clear, significant advantage at the start. In Fischer Random chess, it can change so dramatically. So from the starting position, I always like to do this. Every grandmaster does this, is compare one opening to another. I'm going to play the Alekhine's defense. And in those Alekhine defenses where you play those variations with C4 and F4, everything is wrong. C4, everything is wrong for white. If you play F4, that didn't work. And remember, even in these positions, in the Alekhine, sometimes they play G6 when the bishop. So the bishop is already there.
Yep.
And the 4 pawns attack just goes nowhere in the Alekhine's defense. And the next move, by the way, if we just continue this line for just a moment, it's in a very funny way, right? You attack this guy. It's a strange way of being able to defend the knight again, right?
You got to say, this particular chess 960 position, what was it, 635?
That's correct.
Yeah, let me know.
It's one of those that
635.
Yeah, 635 is one you'll say, I don't mind playing this one in a regular chess game.
This was a good game.
If we decided that this would be one we keep, that's what I would say. We'll keep this one. You see some, you go, toss that sucker out of here.
Right.
We don't want any part of it. But this one, we keep this one. This looks similar enough to chess, and we like our bishop on H1. The knights, we don't have to worry about. The queen's on the original square. It ain't that different, actually.
No.
So this one is one that you might tell your students, try this one out and see what happens. As we see Garry Kasparov now pacing.
He's getting his steps in today, I'll tell you that.
By the way, that is the
what
Garry
is this
Kasparov.
about? We got a camera.
That's the Garry Kasparov that I know. I mean,
yes, that's Garry.
When I would be playing, he would be prowling the whole. And by the way, you're not playing against him, and he goes by your board. You want to make sure you have a good position, because he'll come and look at you like, who allowed you into the event?
As we see Vishy now hurry to
Blitz
board, and we get down to Blitz.
Oh my gosh, here it comes, guys. This
Time
is
to speed up. And the tricky factor, though, we have to point out, transitioning from rapid to Blitz is its own
has been saying.
challenge. And they're off, and we see the repetition from the opening. But this time,
with G3.
G3, my bishop is not going to get buried back on H1.
So it didn't take long for us to find ourselves.
I'm sure we're going to see knight e7. Oh, no, he played d5 right away. Oh, this time F4. That I did not see coming. I'm not a fan. I want to tell you right now. I'm thinking.
Do you feel obligated to snap this pawn off, though, before allowing it up to e5?
With pleasure. Exactly, James. I don't want to see you clamping down on me. I trade. I get a tempo against that bishop.
Agreed.
And then I get another tempo with bishop c6. So I'm thinking Garry's got an opportunity to jump on the position.
Maybe it's only one tempo if bishop f3 has, and then
bishop c6.
And bishop c6, knight c3, and just play chess.
Queen e7, castles.
And play chess, definitely. It does look as though black should have easy flow play. And easy flow play means what? Play quickly.
Play quickly, because you can see it just above us right here. Games are now at 5-3. Of course, you can already see on the clocks themselves, Garry is quickly approaching that 4-minute mark. And so
he has. It took a long time for him to. Oh,
how did what an interesting choice.
How did he not? I mean,
I'm seeing you recoiling at this.
Yeah, well, the developing with tempo is the most common thing in chess. Grandmasters, all players love developing with a gain of tempo. We can attack your queen. We can force it to move. We can attack your knight, force it to move.
Maybe he wanted to make sure d4 did not happen. Maybe he prioritized that over, because now he's played your move bishop c6.
Yes.
Although he didn't play, he could have played knight f6. But then maybe he's just prioritizing, you don't play d4. I want to control that square. Just trying to find the rationale behind why he wouldn't do a natural move like you said, which we all would want to play, knight f6.
Right.
Prioritizing, like, and there bishop f3. You're not playing d4, and I will continue to develop my pieces. But it is true. It's very hard to imagine why he wouldn't have played this other move. But there it is. The position's gone, and he is, after all, Garry Kasparov, so we'll give him that respect. And he's bringing his knight, again, to control that d4 square, prioritizing that and saying to Vichy, what you got? How are you going to make this work? Bishop f2 with the potential to play d4. But knight f5, I'm a little scared.
To begin with, knight f5, I do like. I also like, funnily enough, the move bishop to d4. I need to move my queen so that I can castle short. So somehow trading that bishop with bishop to d4, putting, in case you trade it, and putting my queen back on g7 and castle short, I like the position. Knight f5, I like this. I'm a French defense player.
Yeah, you got to like this.
French defense players love to have knights on these beautiful protected squares. Maybe I'd like to throw in h5 in usually too.
I got to say, this is looking like regular chess.
It is.
Really quick. The fact that we start off 635, again, like I said, we could keep this one 635 because very quickly
it's becoming a star position.
Like just look like a normal. It's 7 moves in. And yeah, we could definitely get used to a position like this. By the way, I want to make a big point. Notice how neither side is trading light square bishops. Because if you trade the bishop, my knight jumps out.
On my turn.
So neither one is like, no, I'm not trying to get your knight in the game. You trade. No, you trade. So they're going to try to work around this trade to keep the knights back without tempo coming into the game.
Exactly.
So that's just a dynamic as we watch here. Queen e2 played, and Garry now, as you mentioned, how to get the queen away so that you can castle.
For me, with both hands, I'm planning the knight on d4 and saying, this is, I will die on this hill.
Okay. And Garry agrees.
He agrees.
You want to give me your bishop again?
I will take
this
that
guy's
with the queen.
Stubborn.
I will take that with the queen. I'll castle. And again, with the queen beautifully on a battery on that diagonal, the knight on c3 is a little stuck. Now, Vichy didn't seem to mind it in that second rapid game. He played, in fact, as if he had no problem. But we know, thanks to the engine, that Garry did miss a chance. Okay, we have more moves. I'm going to refresh
Queen takes
the board.
d4. Black is very comfortable.
Quick
Castles on the board.
And now I'm expecting castles for Garry. He
and let's
did
keep
it.
our eye on the clock, by the way, 2:49 to 3:36. Vichy does have a nice little edge, and now comes that trade that he was avoiding.
It was unavoidable. Some point you run out of moves. He had reached a position where he said, I have to develop the knight for you.
He wasn't a fan of the move, though, I have to say.
No, but again, I mean, from
a human
what I can
standpoint, that looks
see,
very natural.
I have to do it. I delayed it. But okay, queen drops back to b6. By the way, keeping a watchful eye over the d4 square. Yeah. I can easily imagine Garry playing for the moves rook to d8, knight comes back to d4. By the way, it's a kind of a funny situation where kings are on opposite flanks. I'm expecting h4, h5 yesterday.
That's funny.
And
I was looking at black doing the same thing, but on the opposite side.
On the other side,
yeah,
yesterday.
For the a-pawn to start running.
Let's go.
95 played, rook d8, all pieces well coordinated.
Centralized.
And now queen to e4.
Engine sees something.
Like this move at all.
Why are you provoking me to occupy a good square? Ooh, rook d4 looks... That looks... No, I mean, I can resist everything except temptation. Rook d4 is too tempting.
but listen, there is...
Whoa, F5.
This move is... The beauty of this move...
What's the beauty?
This is a beautiful move. It guards the e4 square, and he's going to close down the weakness on the e6 square by taking on e5. And once he does that, your e-pawn is going to be problematic.
Right.
Right? He's going to be able to move his rook easily.
I get
d4, double rooks. Your e-pawn is not going anywhere. And he's taken on that square, and now takes. And this bishop is always going to eye this pawn, as long as you don't get the move d4 in.
Right.
Again, that's been the theme of the game, as far as black's concerned.
So now I'm just looking.
And now he's played rook
There
d4.
it is.
Yeah, he's preventing physically you from playing the move d4.
And moving your knight, because rook e4 will happen.
Ah, that's nasty. I am not happy. I think black came out of the opening with an advantage.
Smashingly.
Do we have to just go like rook f4 at this point?
He's
Offer the
done
trade?
it.
That's going to be...
That trade is not happening. Not rook takes on f4 anyway.
Rook d8.
And he's doubled rooks.
Okay.
And again, the same situation. What do you do next? Can you
White
play...
is stymied, actually.
Yes, this is the problem. And he has traded this rook, and he's thinking about
not good.
Should he take with the queen, which would now eyeball the pawn on e5.
Yes.
Garry in thought here, hesitating, and now he's done it. And after queen takes, you have to defend. White's the one defending.
Exactly. 2 minutes here for Garry. I'm thinking I just want to stop this knight from jumping. Something like a6 I'd find very
attractive. He's played c6 instead with the same concept. That knight is under control. You might see the bishop on h8 and think, that's a bad piece. That bishop can always come in the game anytime it wants. And also, it is eyeing that e-pawn on e5. So it's saying to the white queen, you're not going anywhere. The rook as well. Your pieces are stuck. It's on me to start making progress, maybe even by advancing the queenside pawns.
And we had questions, right, about whether or not Garry Kasparov was going to be able to make that switch up in pace, just given the time differential that we saw coming out of rapid game number 2. And while, yes, he has a little bit less time to work with on the clock, he's found himself a slight advantage, as given to us by the computer here. So openings and still plenty of time for him to maneuver to a possible first decisive game.
Well, we do now see this move, bishop g7, as he's teeing up for queen takes h6, pardon me, queen takes e3 and bishop h6, so that he can place his bishop on this nice diagonal.
Trade made, queen's off the board, we're in an endgame.
Don't believe that.
the rook didn't quite make it to d4. It stopped on d5, and the engine didn't
sometimes
like it.
there are glitches. You saw the engine just say double question mark for an completely forced move. Rook takes d4 was necessary. Then it said, oops, my bad, but we still see a little red on the eval there.
Would have been one of the worst real-world mouse slips.
Okay, now we are really in blitz mode, guys. This is an ending. It has nothing to do with, Fischer Random and stuff like that. These two guys are great endgame specialists. Who's going to outplay?
And they've shown once again that just give us a few moves and it'll look like a regular chess position. And that's what has happened. And now Garry has played g5. He could have brought his king into the game. By the way, you could see the king start a march. King f7, king g6, king h5, all the way to g4. And into the heart of White's position. So that is something that could happen. E3, completely looking unrelated.
I am not a fan.
What is that move about? Not sure. But 107 for Garry. They are totally about to go into panic time.
King f7.
Dropping down 1 minute left on Garry's clock.
Okay,
now equal
92.
material.
He's still aspiring.
Just slide right back up to.
He's still aspiring for d3, d4.
If d4 happens,
then that bishop could get buried.
That's good news, and it has happened. That is good news for White. This is the one move that Vishy has been trying to play forever. Garry has been trying to prevent, and now it is on the board. And that e-pawn is defended. Great defense. Some slip by Garry has allowed Vishy back in the game.
Agreed. I think that Vishy, this is the best he could have hoped for. As we saw the position a few moves ago. I don't think Garry's move c7, c6 was perfect. I think a6 followed by c5 just to stop the setup. Now, I'm not saying White's out of the woods either. I mean, I'm still seeing a 3-result game.
Yasser, 30 seconds left for Garry.
That's
28.
the issue.
I mean, that's a minute edge. Garry's going to have to pick them up and put them down really quickly as Vishy is just playing normal, natural moves. And now g4 on the board. Space for black. The position is still within bounds. But the clock, just precarious moments coming in the next few moves. And now a4, Vishy's playing. And Garry's stopping to think. We need it to be in blitz mode.
Garry needs to play h4, king g6, and go. I mean, there's no time.
There is no time. And Vishy now getting some more space on the other side. as Garry
H4.
is indeed down to just 17 seconds on the
Gary's
clock.
going to lose. The time eval is too greatly against Garry now.
Now B4 on the
Come
board.
on, Garry.
Now
How come he
A6?
hasn't prepared his move already?
Completely ignoring everything on the right-hand
He's
side of the board.
stopping to think.
He's every move he stops to think. You just have to play King G6. Takes on G3, Rook H7.
And now Bishop back to D8, 13 seconds
Gary's
to 1 minute on the clock. You spot a former world champ. They both are, but a whole 50 seconds on the clock in a situation like this. And here comes the knight. The knight, remember that knight being, not the great piece versus the bishop? Now the knight becomes cagey and annoying to have to play against.
Well, this is where you're happy to have kept 6 pawns on the board apiece with the knight.
Guys, 5 seconds.
4 seconds left. Gary's got to move. And the knight has been dancing and pressing. Now it's off the board. And Garry fighting like a champ, trying to come back in this game.
I don't know. What is that?
This game is, look, Eval Bar says dead even. This is a war now. Garry, with very little time to explode anything in this position. He sacked the pawn.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. King E3. How do you follow it up? Okay, now he wants to play G3 and recapture with the rook. So, rook to G1.
Got to slide it back over, yeah.
Rook to G1, G3. I can play the move H3.
If anything, importantly, I'd say he's built some time back.
He's played Rook G1. But he doesn't have to do anything if you play Rook G1. That's what I was going to say. What do I have to do? I don't have to do anything. He's challenging Vishy. Find a move right now. I may be down a pawn, but what's your pawn break? How do you make anything happen? I always have G3 as counterplay, and Vishy is looking around as his time now has actually dipped down to 24 seconds, 22, I'm seeing on the clock. He's less than Garry.
He's giving the pawn back. D5. Oh,
and
my
here we go as the pawn is on G3.
Threatening mate in 1.
Oh, it's a mate threat.
It's a mate threat. Rook F6 is check and mate,
He's
everybody.
got to play Rook G6. This position is wild.
Okay, hold it. If we take, isn't it bridesmaids? H3 and D4?
And a capture on G6, and now
Black
it's time.
could be winning with H3.
He is winning.
That's what I was thinking.
Gary's got two passers. They're wide, and he just has to deal with one passer.
G7.
But Garry trying to figure out which one to play first.
H2.
And now D3. And that's it. He's
won the game.
Wow.
What a turnaround. Oh, my goodness. And Vishy can't believe it, because Vishy had control in that ending. He was pushing on the queen side. He played knight C3, dancing and prancing.
He did not have to play D5 and rook B6. He went for a mate, and Garry had a defense at rook G6. He probably missed that. And instead of getting a draw, he could have brought his book back to G1 and draw again. Instead, he blundered away. And Garry has won that game and $1,000 that were on it.
We have to relive the final moments of this game, but I'll just remind everybody that at one point, Garry had less than 10 seconds on his clock. By the time the game ends, he's built his bank back up to 30. The most important thing for me is the moment where he made Anand think again. He gave him pause, and that was that just a bit of time that he needed to start getting the initiative for himself. You're making a crucial decision.
We see Garry just calculating, like, which pawn am I pushing? Where am I putting my king? So I'm not allowing the pawns to promote with a check. And then Vishy realized, of course, that Gary's going to queen on H1 and play D2 and D1 queen. He resigned.
So
Maurice,
first decisive victory of the day.
Indeed. And it was this moment, as we go to the big board, that Garry got the game because Vishy decided he wanted to be hyper aggressive. He wanted to win. After all, I'm up a pawn. Let me try a trick. Right here, his best situation. Well, he was fine, actually, when he played this move, rook to B1. That was okay. Garry said, I'm going to chill. No problem. Vishy could just wait, and Garry would just wait. But Vishy said, I don't want to do that. And in time, he played this. He's still okay. Rook B6, setting up this mate, and King F3. Look at that mate. It's a beautiful mate. It's a winning mate, except dude has the move rook to G6, the only move in the position. And here, Vishy had to take this pawn right now. This had to be played. Takes. He blunders rook G6, and then when he takes, suddenly H3, and we got two runners, one way, one another way, and that's it. You can't do anything. You may have three connected pass pawns, but it's the two wing runners that seal the deal, and Garry gets that game, wins, and now takes $1,000 lead in this match. That was incredible.
I was holding my breath.
That was wild.
That's 2 minutes.
That was spectacular. Again, we had wondered how he would switch up the pace, and it seems like he found it right there, playing on instinct in the final moments.
You know, and that's what it was. It was instinct, because I thought Garry had terrible clock management there. I thought he was way down underneath a minute, maybe going down to 7 or 10 seconds. And Vishy just, when Vishy was a pawn up, I think he not realizing that we knew the game was even, Vishy thought, I'm winning. I have outplayed my opponent. All right, great. I played D5. That's such an easy win.
He missed the strength of H3.
Rook G6.
And what's funny is he played D5 and created a pass pawn for black.
Correct.
Right. D5 gave the D pawn. And so when H3 happened, suddenly you got all these wing runners, and your 3 pawns are just not doing anything, and the 2 pawns can do it by themselves.
King's playing double duty. He's got to babysit both sides of the board at that point. Not a possibility for him. We had wondered when first blood would be drawn, and it comes in game 3 of the day. So from 1 point apiece, after 2 draws, we now have Garry Kasparov taking the lead overall, 2 points to his name, and look at that. A cool $1 grand of bonus money in his pocket.
Well, congratulations to Garry. I mean,
that's just the key, by the way, no matter what happens in the match overall.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
bonus money. $1K. Of course, we've already had $1,000 apiece from each of our first 2 games get pushed all the way over to games 11 and 12. We can go ahead and re-update those. So again, this is the money that was delivered from the first 2 games of the day to bring each of those games 11 and 12 up to a $4,000 bounty.
It remains at 4,000.
Exactly.
We saw that graphic, but that's just a replay of what happened from game 2. So it just stays at 4,000 because Garry won game 3. Vishy's got to be kicking himself. There was no reason to lose that game.
No, not at all. I don't think Vishy actually got anything out of the opening, but when he got in the move D4, I thought the momentum had turned. Right. Exactly at that moment, when the bishop goes back to D8, the knight is landing on C5, Vishy didn't have to play knight c5 either, right?
No,
I mean, he could
not at all.
He could have kept that tension, too.
And he didn't have to let his time tick so much.
No.
He acted as though he was the one in time pressure, started just playing a bit more quickly, allowed Garry to get that great counterplay. When Garry flicked in F4, pushed the pawn, sacrificed the pawn, got his king up, that's when Garry started rolling, and he just showed, I got counterplay, I'm good. And his instincts, his defensive instincts, you had to be impressed by at that moment because it was equal. It was definitely equal after that pawn sacrifice.
And he asked questions. He started asking questions of Anand, right? And that's where you say, oh, now the thinking cap was on and the clocks start to equalize, and that's a position that Vishy did not want to be in because by all accounts, he had a time bank to work with and maybe could have kept the pressure up on Garry. He might be kicking himself for that, but he'll have an opportunity to respond in game number 4. It will be Blitz again, and they'll switch to the other sides of the board. But it'll be our last opportunity to see this position played, as tomorrow we will be looking at a new position. Let's take a look at our schedule, though, because it's a 3-day event. Of course, today, Wednesday the 8th. Tomorrow, though, we start a little bit earlier, so make sure you set your alarms. 11:40 a.m. Central Time is when you can join us here in the studio before we dive into 2 more Rapid, followed by 2 more Blitz, and we'll conclude things on Friday the 10th with another 4 games. 12 total rounds of 960 and $144,000 in total prize fund in play here for both of our players.
Thank you, James. And if you don't mind, gentlemen, I'd just like to reflect. I'm going to go to what I would call critical moment. This ending. Vishy, he's got to be thanking his lucky stars exactly this moment. Remember this pawn on E5 being vulnerable? Like, suddenly the king is sitting here very nicely on D3. Black had it in mind that he might like to play king G6, followed by F4. But guess what? White's king is ready. Yeah, go ahead. You play F4. Give me that E4 square. And suddenly it was Vishy who was pressing on the queen side. And we get to this position, and Vishy says, okay, should I play knight C5? Like, maybe here, right here, there might be other moves that we can consider, including, not exclusively, but including moves like, for example, D5. Like, just as much as you want to get your king activated with king to E4, I could do, you know, I've got stuff. But this is the moment.
Yeah, that line there you just showed might have allowed king F7 with king E6 as an option.
Sure.
But I agree.
Right here.
Right here, you have to make a command decision
Right.
as to what you do next, right in this position. And can you, with time on your clock, because this is the key, can you, with time on the clock, wait?
Yeah.
Like, could you just hold? Let's say, for example, you decide
Knight
to play...
C3.
No, I want to leave the knight there so that you think about it. What if I play a move like rook, just chill for fun, rook b2?
Chill.
Okay.
Like, what's your next move?
I know, because...
Are you going to play f4?
I'm thinking, what else am I going to do? I'm kind of stuck. I can't make any... Okay, I'll go king g5, although you could play king e3 anyway, right? I'm stuck.
Yeah, maybe that's better for me to do. That's a better idea. Instead of playing rook b2, let's play king e... Oh, no, but king e3 is bishop g5.
And then I can make a draw.
Yeah, that would repeat. It's this position. Maybe this was the problem. Because he's ahead on the clock. He has to decide, how do I make progress in this position without just repeating?
Right.
And when you're ahead on the clock, you want to do something. You want the opponent to stop and think.
Exactly.
And sometimes you got to have the strategy of, I'm just going to chillax. I'm going to make a couple of waiting moves while I figure out what it is that I do. His knight c5 in this moment was ultra committal. He threw this move down, said, all right, I don't see what else will make progress here. It's a very natural move. It's not a bad move.
No.
Natural move, but it's not a winning move.
No.
And it's a move that allows liquidation, and that allowed Garry to do what he does, which is fight with fire as a defense. Not as, I'm going to sit back here passively. I'm going to be active with f4, bring my king to f5, and get everything that he got.
Again, gentlemen, apologies. I'm the pawn grubber on set. You're not going to like what I'm about to show you.
I'm like, you're not taking that pawn.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Go ahead. You want to recapture? Do me a solid.
I didn't even need to recapture. Why would I do that? Why did I play king h5 here?
Correct. That was a correct move. Now I'm going to play b5. Go ahead. Come and eat me. Go ahead. Take that pawn. Shall we? Let's have some fun. Let's do it. Take
there's stuff happening.
Maurice was stopping because he knows what he was calculating. I am going to go. Oops, sorry.
We'll back that up. But this, Yasser, this position is cray-cray. Are you for real? King h3, you want to... Nobody's calculating this.
Yes, they are.
No way.
This is what I live for.
This is what you live for?
Historians will call me courageous.
Yes. But you've now had the benefit of how long after the conclusion of the match to find that sequence?
He wants me to play king g2 and start pushing my f-pawn?
Look, all I'm saying is take a look at the position. This, if you were in Garry's shoes and you only have seconds, this is the most complicated position in the game. And you have no time to think.
But who knows what's going on here? I mean,
but I'm saying it was that knight c5. That knight c5, that was Vishy's
That was the turning point, for sure.
moment.
We're going to have a lot of fun talking about this game and the different ways that it could have gone, but it did go one very specific way. Let's relive what were the decisive final moments of our first blood here at Clutch Chess Legends.
And if we take, isn't it bridesmaids? H3 and D4?
And a capture on G6, and now
Black
it's time.
could be winning with H3.
He is winning.
That's what I was thinking.
Garry's got two passers. They're wide, and he just has to deal with one passer.
G7.
But Garry trying to figure out which one to play first.
H2.
And now D3. And that's it. He's
won the game.
Wow.
What a turnaround. Oh. Garry knew he dodged a bullet. He saw that shake.
That's been the story of the day. Across all three games, a bit of a sigh of relief on his face.
The first game. But this one, I think Vishy, he really did outplay Garry to a certain moment. And he had the clock time as well.
But hold on.
He's going to feel bad about this.
Garry had a great opening this one.
He did.
Garry had a fantastic opening.
But he was getting outplayed in the second.
But then in the second part, he got outplayed.
Yeah.
But he kept the game going. It wasn't that easy for you to destroy him in that position. But let's be clear, guys. In a normal match, a 1-point lead, that's a good lead. I feel.
But not in this format.
This is Clutch Chess. I'm sorry. Tomorrow it's going to be 2 points per game. So I lose this one. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm so depressed. I got to win this next one.
No.
There's so many points ahead. 8 points tomorrow, 12 points the next day, 2 points per game, and 3 points per game, respectively. Vishy can just be like, yeah, whatever, I tossed the game. Let's keep it going.
Right.
Yeah. There's a chance to equalize in this last game of the day, but exactly to your point, there's
Not
a
the
chance
end of the
to
world.
leapfrog on future days.
Hey, man, I'm zoning in on those games 11 and 12, not just for the bonus money, yes, but also the point money. 3 points for
It's not
each
just
game.
11 and 12, though. It's also 9 and 10.
Exactly.
So last day, 12 points up for grabs. So we're just warming up.
That's right.
This is what
Day
we call
one.
warming up.
Day one.
All this excitement.
They must be fully warmed up here for game number 4. One more 5-3 game to go. We switch sides of the board.
Right.
For Garry, if he wants to keep or maintain this at least 1 point lead or even extend it with another decisive victory as he flips over to the white side of the board, what do we want to see from him?
Yeah. Okay.
Win. Look, it's not about that. You get to play the game. You play the game. If he loses this one, it's all the same. There are too many points up for grabs for you to start thinking you can micromanage.
It's not about the match winning on day one. No, of course not.
So
But
you just
wanna
play the game.
Yeah, but you want to play your best game. So really, if I'm in Garry's shoes right now, I'm thinking, how am I going to get an advantage in this, the fourth and final game of today? And I've got to tell you, that E4 move in E6 worked out really, really well for Black. I think it's time to treat this position differently. Maybe just start with a move like G4. G4, F4. Put the bishop on G3, knight F3, and start going like that. Because this particular setup is calling, in my mind, for a different approach.
He's playing E4.
Approach. You think so?
I'm thinking he's playing E4.
He's playing E4.
No reason to change. It's going well. I'm up a win. Why am I going to do anything funny? I prepared this. Okay. He's got to be feeling like I've had a nice, satisfying day. I cannot lose today. I cannot lose. Even if you win the game, I'm still tied. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It might be broke. That's my.
You think
my
it's
point.
broke?
Well, let's take a look.
Let's see what happens. I'm guessing E4. You're guessing G4. What you got, James?
What do
Break
I
the tie.
have?
It's not that much of a tight race. Two extremes. He can't come in between us.
Knight to F3.
See what I mean?
Let's go with something absolutely a little wild card to throw in there.
That's a guess. That's a guess as any. That's just as good a guess
Knight
as any of ours.
F3,
Although
I
will say you do restrict your bishop at E1 a little bit, but you can play D4 and fix that. I don't see anything wrong with that move either. This position looks like there are different possibilities.
Jay, I'm stunned. You had the absolutely fantastic moment to come between Maurice and I. We don't give people this moment very often. Maurice wanted E4. I wanted G4. What is the move between E4 and G4? Yes, this would have been James's move.
Yeah,
bridging the gap between.
Let's go F4.
The funny thing is, all those moves are good, and bang! I win, baby. Brush your shoulders off. That's what I said. He's going to play the line. And Vishy decided, I like what you did, Garry. I'm going to play E6 this time. And let's play for this line with Bishop B5, though, instead of
Bishop C6.
the move Bishop C6. And Garry whipping his move like, excuse me, I prepped for this too.
I feel like that win just energized him in a way that he's coming out at a very brisk pace here early on in our fourth and final game of the day.
Do we believe what Gary's doing here? Okay, I'm a pawn grabber. Just show me what I'm missing. Knight takes D4. Show me what I'm missing.
Yeah, computer says
Probably
no way.
Knight takes D4. Bishop takes F1. Bishop is released to God knows where. I don't know.
And now what?
Vishy has decided to do it differently. I'm going to take on E2, and I'm going to take on D4.
So, sorry, Knight C5 came out. He took on E2. Sorry, Maurice, go for it. What is this? B5?
I mean, I don't see it, so I need help understanding. But immediately, the engine is saying,
okay,
Black's got the game.
Well, the whole point is it's mate. Mate. Check.
Sure.
Mate.
Yep.
Mate ends the game. That's all you need.
Okay, so he has to play Queen D3, only move?
Oh, then I get Queen G5. Give me the horsey.
No way.
Give me the horsey.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
the game is over?
Check. That's it.
Wait, is this what's on the board?
What?
No, this is my analysis.
No, hold on.
The players will catch up with
this
us.
is what's on the board, right?
It's on the board.
Yeah.
This is on the board.
B5
right here.
is winning. It's over.
Gary's losing in 8 moves?
That's
correct.
What I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
There is.
That was
Queen D3 on the board, queen check. Garry cannot believe the nonsense that has occurred here. He's literally lost a piece.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, there's some hope.
No, there's a 4-point advantage in material.
No, the worst part is Black can castle.
That's exactly right.
Black can just bring a rook into the game, and he has done so.
Defend the knight.
Garry can resign?
Well, wait a minute. G6 defends. C3, I can move the queen maybe? Just to get out of this pin. But I'm still in a
C3
pin.
on the board.
I'm still in a pin.
Knight to E7. You can't take that piece yet, so the other knight is showing up. Why can't he play King B1?
I think he's going to have to. Okay, King B1. You know, I'm going to be better after Queen F5, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, better is like a dream.
No, but I'm material up. Right now, I'm up. Well, hold on, let me refresh.
But G4 on the board.
So that was a good move by Garry, just to stop this Queen F5 nonsense, opening up the bishop, which we know we're going to need.
Yeah, multifaceted move.
Okay.
I'm still trying to come to grips with what has occurred, by the way.
Same.
Garry Kasparov lost a piece
on 8 We had asked him to pick up the pace, and it almost seems in some ways that the picking up of the pace is what bit him in the end.
It did.
What I'm impressed by...
He's giving back the piece.
What I'm impressed by is that...
is giving back the piece.
Garry, did not look so devastated. He was like, yeah, I hung a piece, whatever. And he's just kind of just shrugged it off. And has... shown some fight at least, because it was the kind of position he might have resigned.
Exactly.
Like, what the heck did I just do?
It was so
And now
bad.
he's trying to come back. It reminds me of a game between Magnus and, who did he play?
The English Jones.
Yes, Wayne Jones, where Magnus blundered a piece and came back and even won the game. This doesn't feel like that, by the way, because there were some pieces on the board, some play. Vichy has smartly, maybe not the most accurate way to play, but has smartly decided, we'll play an end game where I am going to have a massive advantage. I'm a pawn up.
Yeah.
And you are just losing. And Garry does not like this ending at all.
Yeah, exactly. Again, we can question if there wasn't a way of keeping more material, but you're absolutely right. This ending is just so nasty for White.
He's traded rooks.
He trades rook first with check.
And now he's forced to play rook G1, and he's got a hope against hope that somehow Vichy's technique is not up to the task. Knight versus bishop again, by the way. Vichy with the knight. We've seen this argument over and over. I like me my knight, and I'm going to try to exploit this.
One of the things that you try to do whenever you have the knight is secure the knight. So F5, I love this idea that we might, in the near future, play moves like D3 and rook D3. You're securing the knight.
Yeah, but bishop E2 to kick your rook, right? So
look at this. Interesting. I would have waited for rook E1 myself. I like developing the king. Interesting by Vichy.
Yeah, and Vichy does not want to give away that knight for sure. Even he's up a pawn. He doesn't want to see the end game. He's going to slow play this.
He has to.
Say, I'm up a pawn, and we're just going to keep playing. Let's see you defend this.
Yeah, forget about me being a piece up. That's ancient history. I'm a pawn up, and I'm enjoying my extra pawn. Ooh, look at Garry. Garry saying, I've got counterspiel.
And now F5, cementing the E4 square, but weakening the E6 pawn.
In order to defend that pawn.
H7.
We've got E6 covered, which is
this pawn here is an issue, potentially, and now the rook attacks the pawn, the rook defends, rook attacks again, and now that rook, man, that rook has been dancing. I went to G3 and to H3 to E3 to E5. He's got some measure of control over the position, but he's still down a pawn. And Black will be able to bring the king up and eject that rook eventually from that square.
Exactly. So ideas of A6 and immediate ejection, by the way, James Bond style,
with the idea of the idea of pushing that pawn in front of the rook, getting that weakness out of the game. This is not easy to defend for White.
Exactly. Now, if I'm in Garry's shoes, I'm thinking A4, trying to entice B takes A4, rook A5.
Actually, truthfully, A4. If you can take, if he doesn't capture, right, like you mentioned, you can take and you at least create the weakness on that square. So if you can play this move really away, it's Black's move right now.
Yeah.
But if he
just
can
played bishop F3, by the way.
King up. if he could play A4 and take that pawn. So let's just play that really fast, yes.
Go.
A4. No. King D7. A4.
Yep.
There it is. Actually, you don't even have to worry about it because he played it.
Right.
A4. Now, if A6, you take. Yep. So Vishy decided not to let that happen because you could take it and leave that B pawn as a weakness. Now your knight can't move.
Exactly.
So that was the key. He wanted to create a weakness on that square. Vishy decided, I didn't want to see that weakness. And now,
Vishy,
dramatic capture.
This allows
back
a check.
What? What?
And Gary's going to win his pawn back.
And Gary's shaking his head like, why?
Why did you allow this to happen, Vishy?
I'm going to take that.
I get both
I'm going to
A-pawns.
take. I'm not even take. Genius. I love it. He decided, I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to play the position. And we are seeing Magnus versus Wayne Jones. Are we seeing that? Where he's now saying, I'm playing for the win.
Right.
The A-pawn is history. The A-pawn for black.
Dead in the water.
Is absolutely dead in the water. And the C-pawn for black is on a light square. That's got to be defended.
Vulnerable.
What has Vishy done? He was a piece ahead. He's still a pawn up, but he's going to lose at least one of them. Garry is back in business.
Bishop back to E2 or
probably D1.
Okay.
But you're absolutely
stunning.
Stunning. I mean,
now.
wow.
Stunning.
I think Vishy is shocked himself that he's allowed Garry right back in the game. By the way, he is clock times.
I was about to say 3 minutes and 20 seconds to Vishy's name, 1:30 for Garry. But that's interesting to me because it implies that at some point Vishy, in a critical moment, did not take the time he needed to evaluate the position because he's got almost a plethora. He's got more than half his bank to work
Correct.
with.
He played very quickly, evaluated that piece position where he's going to I'm going to be up a pawn, let me do that.
Yeah.
Played way too practically, and now definitely it's looking to equalize. For Garry, this is a massive success. If he just handles himself correctly here, he should draw the game, although there is an advantage, a pass, two against one on one side.
Yeah.
But liquidating this last pawn off on this side is wonderful for Garry. Get rid of that last pawn. Does he want to play B4? Nope. Let's get rid of that. And now he just needs to stop these pawns from going anywhere, which it looks like they're not going anywhere. Bring the king over. And Gary's going to draw this game at least. He was a piece down.
Absolutely stunned.
Okay, he really fought his way back into this game.
Pulled a rabbit out of a hat. In this
Truly.
Vishy's going to be shaking his head at dinner tonight.
How did he let him escape? And the players are saying no draws are off.
No draws until move 60. Sorry, you got to move. Don't think you're getting away with that. Let's see the position play itself out. Vishy has accepted that this is indeed a draw. He's going to sack the last piece, and that, I believe, is that.
There you have it. Yeah, no draw offers before the completion of Black 60's move.
Wow.
It's an instructive moment for those of us who are less practiced in chess as to why that is a draw, because all the material will come off of the board. Now there's not enough to work with in either case. So 2.5 to half a point through day one. It's Garry Kasparov who comes out on top.
The players had a chit-chat there just to... Garry, Maurice... He was busted at move 8. What happened?
I mean, he hung that piece. We saw it with the queen G5 check. But it was Vishy who played way too practically in this moment here. He saw that he could play this move knight to D5, and you can see this is not the best move because he's going to give back material, which is exactly what happened. He saw this trade and go down into this position where we saw a pawn is a pawn, but it was not enough. You'd have to play technically really well. Garry fought back like a beast in this position. Here, Vishy had to expend some time on the clock. As you said, James, this was the position where Vishy had to say, look, I'm a piece up. What's the solution to the problem? How do I keep it going? And one of those moves was the move rook to D6, and after king to B1, rook over. And in this position, C takes D4 can now be met by bishop takes D4, and you can't just decide you're going to capture because after rook takes D4, well, it looks like you're down 2 pawns at the moment. Am I counting wrong?
No, 2 pawns.
It's 2 pawns in this position. A very different math if you're down 2 pawns.
Right.
And he could have given back the piece, but 2 pawns up. Just stop and think for a moment. Really look at the position somewhat. Instead, he played quickly, satisfied with only 1. Sorry, it wasn't enough.
Wow.
And he ended up giving Garry the win for the day. By the way, that draw has also been pushed to games 11 and 12. So those games are
bonus money.
Sweetening in the bonus money.
It's a good point. It's a good point. 3 draws, 1 decisive victory here through the end of the first day. So Garry is ahead when it comes to the overall scoreline. Plenty of room still to run. Of course, you saw there, and you can take a look in our head-to-head. It is a cool $1,000 already in Garry's pocket, as he did get that decisive victory in Game 3 of Blitz. But perhaps in some ways, the most stunning result is actually our 4th game of the day. We're still a little bit reeling from what we saw just take place out there.
Yeah, Garry blundered tactically in this position that I have on the board. He played the move Queen C4, and he was like, okay, I sacrificed a pawn for a bit of an initiative. Let me castle. But what rocked his world was the move B5, something he absolutely did not see, because he's thinking, my queen defends E2. If I allow knight E2, it's check followed by check mate. I have to move my queen to cover and then the double attack. And now, if he had resigned right here, we would have said wise decision.
Yes, he laughed to himself.
Right, I mean, like, okay.
You know, amazing.
But to have the tenacity then, to hold on and to fight. Either way, the players have delivered for us today in an incredible way. But we have Anastasiya standing by with Vishy for a quick word. Take it away.
Thank you, guys. I'm here, as you said, with Vishy Anand, who just finished the first day of the Clutches, the Legends here today. 4 games, so much fire, so intense battles. Vishy, how did it feel for you today?
Well, it's my first 960 event since, almost, 20 years ago. And yes, it was quite interesting. I mean, the first game was very exciting. At some point, I think, well, it might have flipped even a couple of times. Second one, I think, was the most stable. Third, I'm just worse, so I shouldn't really have, I should have probably settled down. But then when I got this knight on c5, I thought I had to try, but it was just, in the Blitz, I was actually playing very badly.
Yeah, and the last game, what can you say? Was it even surprising for you what happened in the last one?
Yes, normally I should win this quite easily, but it's not like I had any chance. But I was playing just too fast. I think I was upset by the third game.
I see. And how would you describe the first day with one word, let's say?
Jumping in the deep end.
Yeah, and let's come back a little bit to the beginning of this day. It was a great opening of the renovated, newly reopened St. Louis Chess Club. What does it mean for you? What do you think it means for all chess fans here in St. Louis and in the world?
Well, it's very nicely designed, and of course, I'm happy to be back. I was happy to play in the old venue, but the new one's even nicer.
Absolutely. And can you tell us a little bit about these 15 minutes before the game started, and how did you process after the end of each game? Did you try to analyze it more, or just relax? Tell us about your routine.
It varied. Sometimes I was looking at it. Sometimes I was just taking a deep breath. 15 minutes is not a lot. So essentially, I was drawing from our impressions on the first session. That's when I really spent 15 minutes looking at the position.
Yeah, and between, I saw that you were also still checking something at the board.
Yes, once in a while I try to sit and look at the board.
Absolutely. And Vishy, after such an intense day, what is the plan? How are you going to rest and get ready for tomorrow?
Yeah, just go back, have dinner at some point, and then take a look at the games.
Yeah, and my last question, with this absolutely amazing format of clutch chess where nothing is clear until the very end, do you have some special strategy, or will it affect somehow your preparation for next days?
No, I will just try to play, but knowing that there's everything to fight for, I think makes it quite nice.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Vishy. Thank you. It was so much pleasure to watch you playing today. And we are back to the studio to Maurice, Dash, and Yasser.
Thank you, Anastasiya. Indeed.
Describing day one as diving into the deep end.
He looked morose, though.
He had so much opportunity in the games, Maurice, and this fourth game. Look, dude, you know. Somebody gives you a whole piece, you're going down. I don't care who you are.
That's not something you want to be remembered for in any way. So he's going to have to get his form back and start playing well in the next few games. This was not because it was chess 960 at all. He just wasn't on point. And as he said, I didn't spend long enough. I just played too fast. Why? You had all that time on the clock. You have a piece. Figure out the best path forward and just blitzed it out and cost him.
In this case, can benefit from having a short memory. Put that one behind you. You've got 2 more days ahead with plenty more points and plenty more prize money to be snapped up. Speaking of prize money, bonus money at that. Let's go ahead and take a look as it all counts up from $4,000 through 3 games, now up to $4,500 apiece for games 11 and 12 coming on day 3 when it comes to that bonus money. Honestly, probably going to grow a little bit more as we see it all play out tomorrow as well. We got a word from Vishy. Now let's go right back to Anastasiya, who's standing by with Garry Kasparov.
Hello, guys. Yes, we are here together with Garry Kasparov. Garry, welcome to the studio. What a day it was.
A new studio, yes.
Absolutely. New club, new studio. How did this absolutely crazy but so important day for the club went for you?
Oh, I think I have to watch my back on the street now. With this kind of luck, you know, it's really dangerous. So I'm really, you know, just still I'm trying to digest, you know, what's happened. That's because I started this match with very little expectation. So my goal was at least to play and just not to lose all the games, because last time I played chess at the board was 1 year ago. This against Sam Sevian. That was my last game, and now I'm facing Vishy, and I, as you know, I had to miss the opening yesterday because I didn't feel well after my trip, and I bet Vishy has been, you know, preparing extensively, and my preparation was just, you know, a few dozens, probably a couple of dozens games with Peter Swidler and some discussions, you know, about some positions. But I just 4 days ago I was in Spain doing a lecture, so that's not the best way to prepare. And but I think this is, you know, sometimes, you know, you have to find an explanation for your luck, because I work hard and I tried hard, and even the game one, you know, I was under heavy pressure, and also just, you know, the moment, you know, I played Bishop C6, I said, why didn't I play Bishop B5? Because I saw this, there was an option, and I was really under heavy pressure. Maybe just there were moments that, you guys have to tell me whether, you know, I could have probably just bet at one point, but I think I built even the fortress, but then I just destroyed it myself. And then just all of a sudden, you know, Vishy, I think he celebrated prematurely. And also, to my surprise, he played much slower than I expected. And I did bet in a time trouble. So again, another surprise. So just as and game one actually offered me a lot of optimism. I think game two, I think I was nearly winning game two. So again, the guys should tell me probably instead of knight d4, knight f4, and after rook f8, maybe h3. So I could smell, you know, the victory, but just, you know, then it's out of shape. And in game three, I had a huge advantage. I mean, it's a huge advantage, and I just, again, totally. How could I not play c5? You know, this is instead of rook d8, c5. You know, just to stop, you know, d4 forever. e5 pawn is going to die very soon, and I don't have to exchange queens. So and I played so poorly. I just nearly. And when Vishy played d5, I just want to resign. I should only move to defend the rook g6, and all of a sudden my pawn started advancing.
Started to run.
Yes. It's classic. You know, this is the so-called trousers. Yeah, yes. 3 pawns are just, you know, are not as good as 2.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it was a surprise for him also.
Yeah, it was. But again, it's the, you know, I expected him just to be much quicker in the time trouble. And I think, you know, when we reached this is the critical moment of the game, just, you know, it was basically a minute left. I think I did a better job, and in the last game I just wanted to play something crazy like c3 and c5. I wasn't sure, because I just thought maybe some interesting combinations, and I just played knight c5, and should I resign? But it was not so good. Just let's play, and again he could have won many, but he just left. He went for the end game, which was technically won. And to my surprise, I think I outplayed him in this endgame. I totally outplayed him. Just rook g3, rook h3, rook e3. Yeah, I just thought, wow, this is at one point when I played rook e5, I said, I think I can probably just survive. And I think he expected me to resign. So this is, I resisted, and then he just, I think he still had some winning chances, but I think I could read in his mind that he already lost any hope.
I mean, can we actually say that this last game is an example of something like never give up in chess?
No, it's never give up. You know, the game is not over. So yeah, But again, I think what's the most important for me in this game is that I could manage to do well in the end game without a pawn, and it's technical end game. It's one end game, but somehow, you know, I think he thought it's easy. I mean, definitely knight c4. I don't like knight on c4. I mean, this is so his knight had to stay on d5, not on d6, because d6, and then I just, you know, all of a sudden, you know,
yeah.
Yes.
Did you feel like really like rush of adrenaline when you started to play, like the first game? Like, how did it go for you?
Look, I said it's my first game at the physical chess board. I mean, seriously, first game. So and I, you know, I had some good feelings. You know, because yesterday, I mean, I had no choice, but I had to stay, you know, just behind. I just had to see. First thing, I had to see my doctor because I had my nostrils, my ears, after the flight, terrible. And then somehow, you know, I came back home, and as I talked to my wife, I mean, she was very pessimistic. She said, "Okay, again, you're going there." And someone said, "You know what? I have some positive. I feel well. I still may collapse. I mean, I have no practice playing serious chess, you know, for a very long time. But somehow I sensed, oh, maybe it's not going to be that bad. So and again, it's just set aside the horrible opening game 4. I think I did relatively well. In game 1, you know, I think it is. I tons of ideas. It's not that, you know, it's rapid chess, and we're definitely, you know, out of our prime. But I think I was industrious. That's what probably being, you know, rewarded by Keisha.
Yeah. And also, you know, we have such a long rivalry with Vichy. I mean, many chess fans believe that there were like golden pages of the history of chess, this rivalry. And now, how did you feel, I mean, playing against Vichy, especially like your personal feeling about all these years you competed against each other, and today, like, what does it mean for you?
Look, I started this match with zero expectations. You know, I mean, somehow I sense maybe that's, you know, it's fair to give Vichy a chance to improve the score, because I had a huge advantage in classical chess, though in rapid and blitz it was not that clear. And again, I always play in St. Louis once a year. So they said, you play Vichy. I said, fine, okay. I remember sometime in summer, you know, my wife asked me, so what? I mean, you're serious. Now you play Vichy now. You go. I said, yeah. I said, maybe you start preparing. I said, okay, fine, let me call Peter. You know, I talked to Peter, actually. I spoke to him this morning. So we talked about some positions. So this is general ideas. So, and you can't explain this. Somehow I feel that, again, it's my duty to come here and play chess. So, and I'm not, of course I don't like losing, but I understand that, again, it's more like, you know, making chess fans happy. And so probably just it's a way to pay back, you know, this is what I gained from the game of chess.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your interview, Garry, and for sharing the thoughts. And it was such a great day today. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good luck tomorrow.
Absolutely. Okay, fine. Tomorrow is another day.
Thank you so much, Anastasiya, and what a recap of the day. He said he's prepared to fall down and take a loss somewhere along the year, but that won't be here on day 1 of Clutch Chess.
Well, what it really felt like to me was Garry saying, "I've got one foot firmly out of the arena. I got one foot in the arena too," and he was like, he was having a real struggle with himself.
Yeah. Well, he said he had some good feelings coming into the event, and he will be the one who exits day 1 with a 1-point advantage to his name. But now I turn to you two. Final thoughts on day 1 as we look towards what will be a second and third day as the action ramps up.
Well, clearly Vichy was not in his best form, and Garry can say that, you know, he didn't have high expectations, but he did outplay Vichy in the time scrambles. And you could have expected Vishy to be the one who's +1, but he just wasn't there. And you could see it on his face, a bit dejected. But I think when he goes back to the room, he'll say, you know what? I could have done better, and there are a lot of points up for grabs, so let me just sweep this one under the rug and move ahead. While Garry, he said, I want to make chess fans happy. We are happy to have Garry Kasparov competing. Always happy to see such a gladiator fight and show his fighting spirit, his skill, his resiliency. A lot more to go. Day one was spectacular. More of the same in the next 2 days.
For me, it was the anticipation. And for me, these 4 games, good at times, poor at times, but it lived up to what I wanted. I wanted to see 2 great gladiators coming in and pounding each other, actually, and they did, and it was fun, and I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the commentary with you two, by the way. I mean,
giddy to be sitting in this seat next to the 2 of you. Thank you for inviting me in on this journey.
Wow.
That's our Wednesday the 8th. We've got 2 more days of action ahead of us. Tomorrow, Thursday the 9th, 2 more rapid games followed by 2 Blitz, and of course we'll close things out on Friday the 10th. Reminder that the action tomorrow starts at 11:40 a.m. Central Time. That's very different than the time we started today, but we will be playing in the exact same place, and we hope to see you there. For now, we're going to shut the lights down. We'll catch you back here tomorrow. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, and be good to each other. Good night.
Good night from St. Louis. Night.
This has been a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club. Any reproduction or distribution of this content without the express written consent of the St. Louis Chess Club is prohibited.